How's it going, everyone, and welcome to a new year with no excuses on BTWProductions.com and YouTube.com with your favorite show hosts, Aristill,
Venerian,
and I am looking up the Wikipedia article on what a parfait is.
Hooray!
It's okay, so you could call it pudding, but it's Wikipedia describes a parfait as a custard-like puree.
Okay, which it is, I guess, a pudding. So yeah, holdover from a previous conversation.
Right, yeah, 'cause, that was centered on things to feed imaginary animals if you're dumb enough to play a summoner.
Yeah, unless you're like me and legitimately crazy, don't play Summoner and PSO2. Where am I, and why is everything so low res?
I mean, normally Ari loves pet classes. He does not love summoner.
So, on the stream today, I'm going to actually be running a bit of Stranded Deep, which I recorded earlier in the week. Because I got that game for free. Hooray!
Yay.
Yeah, Epic did this whole 15 days of free games, where there was a free game every day over Christmas. And some of them are actually really good. Others are crap, but there's always going to be crap in a pick like that.
I've never been able to motivate myself, even though I know that there are free games on offer. Also, I'm getting a lot of feedback from someone. I'm not quite sure who it is, but even though my voice is coming through back to me through my headphones.
That's weird.
I'm not sure who it is, but even though Epic are always offering free games and stuff, it's I can't quite get up the activation energy to push me over the hump to actually install that, even just to get free games. It's like, even if I don't know, I'd have to probably erase my entire Steam backlog somehow before I would do that. I think having even more free games would probably just be overwhelming. What a privileged time we live in that I'm like actively turning down games, but I've got so many things to play.
Yeah. So yeah, there's
Actually, I've been meaning to ask. Actually, have you played Deep Rock Galactic? Because I got it for Christmas from a friend.
Space Wolves.
And
no, I haven't.
He said that it's got a ton of replay value. It's just a really, really good co-op multiplayer, and you can just play it forever.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's just one of those games that you can't really play it on your own.
Yeah, it does look like it's built for co-op. Maybe we can do that in an episode sometime.
Yeah, at some point we can do that. Yeah, while I'm actually doing the show, I'm going to be playing some PSO2 as well, but I'm not going to put that on the screen because half of it's probably going to involve standing around in the lobby.
Tink.
Unless people actually want to watch me mining.
Dink. Dink. There are not enough gems in the game anywhere. My goodness.
Nope. I'm starting to think that forest emeralds don't exist. And you can't buy them either.
The gems which have a proper gem name attached to them, they are incredibly rare, comparatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might get on every. Well, my experience is probably below curve since my luck is miserable, but I will get one like once every 3 or 4 days.
So if you absolutely need specifically forest emeralds or the gem of the zone fern, what you do? There's a culinary shop in the ship. You don't have to go to Franco's to get it. And at the very bottom of the list, there's a relatively easy to make recipe that needs a bunch of, I think, Tokyo crap.
Okay.
From fishing that increases your jewel harvest rate by 300% and gives you a 10% chance to extra harvest.
I see.
And
sounds like a lot of hoops to go through from something you should just be able to get through regular mining.
Well, I mean, this is very typical though of Japanese MMOs specifically. Like you don't see this in Western or even Korean MMOs. Just the proliferation of a bajillion different advancement schema.
Mm-hmm.
And so the ring thing is just another part of that. I wonder how much of this will carry over to the PSO2.
There's a few things I really hope they do away with, like having to unlock access to the materials storage.
It could.
That's a huge moneymaker for them.
Yeah,
they would because everybody's going to do it. They're just going to. I can almost not blame them for that.
And material storage really isn't that bad. If you play a lot, then you're going to have the star gems to pay for it and keep having effectively your subscription paid for, because you can't play the game without material storage.
No,
once you're
really
over level 70, you're not playing the game without material storage. It's impossible.
You get that much stuff, and you're going to need that much space to actually store it all.
It struck me as a perplexingly cunning way to get people to give them money, because you're not really limiting the game in any other meaningful fashion. You're just making it progressively more inconvenient.
Yes.
Yeah, it just and it's not it because it uses star gems, and star gems come out at not the best rate, but they give enough free star gems out that
Yeah.
you can feasibly pay for material storage with your free star gems. You just
But-
won't be able to buy any of the other cool stuff.
Which just downgrades it from being a crippling disadvantage to a minor yet persistent annoyance.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
so it's if that's our alternative to having to pay monthly for it, I'll take the material storage.
Yeah. But yeah, they've put out a bit of information about it during the break about Genesis or New Genesis. Largely, it was a gameplay trailer, but they also showed like some of the classes that have come out. Nothing new yet, but we don't have the hero classes or whatever they're called coming up.
The Scion or hero classes or whatever they're called.
Yeah,
Well,
the hero, the
I-
edgelord, the Estelle.
Yeah, I still don't know anybody that can say whatever the Estelle's actual name is correctly.
It's
It's
sort of
It's
it's
French.
étoile. It's étoile, but it's a sort of a meme that everybody pronounces it slightly differently.
Yeah.
I actually saw one of those D&D alignment charts for pronunciations of étoile.
Nice.
Yeah. So
It was chaotic
they're
evil,
actually-
the correct pronunciation.
there
Huh?
actually is somebody in story that almost says Estelle. They say something really close.
Oh yeah, even the NPCs do it.
Yeah, like in the English, somebody says what almost sounds like Estelle, because nobody can pronounce this class. Apparently, not even the voice actors for the game.
Yeah.
Although they have trouble pronouncing
If they
normal
don't
things anyway.
have Earth, how do they have France?
Well, they went to Earth, and I guess Luca Lot saw France while she went to go visit, so she just stole the name from there.
How could she visit? She's a robot maid.
does
I don't know,
anything in
that
this game
sounds
make
like-
sense?
That sounds like something the French would be quite into, actually.
It kind of
Uh-huh.
does actually. Certainly, the
Uh-huh.
Japanese are into it. So, yeah, there's not a whole big heaping chunks of new information, but yeah, most of the classes have been, or that exist now, have been revealed. Summoner has not. Summoner and Bouncer, I think, have still not been announced.
Well, they were added post facto in
Yeah,
in PSO2.
Yeah,
They
so was
came.
Braver.
and
Yeah.
Braver.
And was Braver announced?
I haven't seen it.
I can't. No, I don't think it has.
I didn't
Yeah,
look.
they.
Braver was
they-
episode 2. Bouncer and Summoner. Bouncer was episode 3. Was Summoner also episode 3
No, Summoner I think came in 4.
and 4? Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
and
there's
then here.
they're dribbling out information about it, but it's no big info dump yet.
But yeah, we did finally see some gameplay from it, and it looks way more fluid than PSO2 does,
It-
just by being our new engine.
Yeah, the game just looks $1 million better. Like
It looks like the animations flow together much better, and I like that there's no perfect attacks. Perfect attacks are the most obnoxious thing in the world
yeah,
for somebody that is conditioned to respond immediately due to Devil May Cry.
yes. If you have to dodge
I
or something
get-
like that, it's going to wreck your chain and blah.
I get that they're a core staple of most of the PSO games, but they're really obnoxious.
Yeah.
Having not quite heard what class you were talking about, I haven't been able to work it out based on the discussion.
Oh, I was just meant in general, but the class I think of the most is Fighter, that looked the most interesting in the trailer they showed.
But you hate Fighter.
I know, that's why I was so impressed.
Yeah, I admit the
'Cause new
Force
fi-
looks really cool, and Force in base game looks like an enormous pain in the neck.
It's
Force
just
and
I
base game
feel
is just
like
really
it's
repetitive.
slow and dumb. Like,
Yeah.
that's how I feel whenever I'm playing Force. I feel slow and dumb.
You sit
Like,
and
oh,
you
I
charge.
guess I just
And you
gotta-
sit and you charge.
Yeah, I've got to wait. I've got to wait till I can shoot this thing, and then I'll shoot it, and then I'll wait some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's more dynamic at higher levels of play, but I'm not at a high level of play.
What level is your Force?
Like 40.
Oh yeah. You can do a few things that make it more interesting later, but it does carry that repetitiveness all the way to 75, which is where I have it stuck. 75 or 80.
Yeah. So anyway, the game on the stream is Stranded Deep, which is a game about being stuck on desert island, basically. And unlike most survival games, though, this one goes for realism. Which means if you stay in the sun too long, you're going to cook and die. So have fun with that.
Realism, huh?
Yeah. So
Sorry, that doesn't sound very appealing at all.
honestly, it is. Yeah. The game, I think, just wears it out its welcome very quickly. It's hard to feel like you're progressing when a lot of your day is spent just trying not to die. Ultimately, the aim is to find a abandoned aircraft carrier, because apparently those are just laying around, and make your way home from that. So there is an end to the game, unlike most survival games. I'll admit, actually, I cheated for the footing. I downloaded a customized island, which has pretty much all the resources you need on it, so you don't need to go island hopping. At least not at the stage of the game I've shown. So yeah, it's fun enough, but for those who really like that sort of thing. But honestly, I'd prefer my survival games to be a bit more, I don't know, dynamic maybe? It's probably the word. Also, less killer crabs. So, a Christmas happened.
All right, it has been that long, hasn't it?
It has. So what did you guys get up to over the break?
I ate and slept.
Yay.
My entire family got COVID.
Wait, actual COVID or pseudo-COVID?
They tested positive for it, but all they've had is the sniffles. But this means
But that's what COVID does.
That's what
Yeah.
COVID does, yeah.
so the big bad advertised disease. No,
On the
but-
upside, are they going to at least stop being afraid of it
I
now
know
they've had it?
they'll contrive some reason to believe the fear mongering. But I told them you'll all be fine.
Yeah,
Every
you've
single
had
one
it
of you will
now.
be fine.
You're immune.
Well,
That's like-
there's still that was just after Christmas when they got it, and we're approaching the 2 week. In fact, we passed the 2 week mark
Yeah.
of when they've had it, and they're still acting like they can't touch anything because it might be in their system. I'm like, are you currently coughing, sneezing, or doing anything that would make you touch some kind of orifice and then another surface? If the answer is no, you're not going to spread COVID.
Please do not spread your orifices on me.
I
So,
don't-
yeah, once
I
you've
don't
had it, that's it. You
understand.
don't need to worry about it again. Don't tell them about mutated strains.
Well,
People don't seem to understand how viral ecology works.
Mm.
When a strain mutates to become more contagious, in parallel with that, it is mutating to become less harmful. Because a virus does not want its host dead or immobilized. That's bad.
That is bad. Because it can't
but,
spread that
but
way.
a more deadly version in the UK.
No,
it's not
a
more
spready.
deadly. It's marginally less deadly from the stats that I've seen.
But, people, it's easier to catch. Therefore, it's more deadly. Logic.
Despite the supposed staggering fast spread of it, their health system is still operating below average, like below average number of beds are filled, for instance. I've actually seen a lot of material being spread about various health systems and that being overwhelmed, which is then gone on to be denounced by the people actually working at those hospitals, saying, no, that's not true. We don't have these problems.
Mm-hmm.
There is definitely a faction of people out there, probably several factions for several different reasons, who are interested in keeping everybody paranoid.
Yeah.
Fear
I mean,
sells.
there's that reason, and then there's just it makes people feel powerful. I think. I don't think you need to get too tinfoil hat on this. Just
No.
keeping this thing going makes people feel good because it makes them feel like they have power over people.
Yeah, but let's not get too bogged down on that anyway.
Oh,
Lest we get our channel deleted.
Yeah, that's happening.
That will be the ongoing news for several weeks that we discuss.
I think it's going to be several years. They're not going to let this go away. They
No.
want COVID so badly.
Oh, I meant just the censorship in general. But yeah, it will keep going with. That's going to keep going for years too. But
Yeah.
For the next-
If it fades away, it will be because everybody's sick of it. Like once, because it's already taken its place alongside the ranks of other flus and so forth. It's oh well, this is just one of those things that goes around, and you don't want your grandma to get it because their immune system ain't up to it. But other than that, it's not really a problem for most people. Like this is the same position occupied by every other respiratory illness on the planet already.
Yeah. But by the way, guys, you don't want your grandma to get the flu either.
No, you don't.
Yeah, that's like, isn't pneumonia like one of the top killers of old people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although I'm starting to think my grandmother might be immortal. She's had just about every strain of flu that's come, and she's still going.
Yeah, some people are good at that, but
Yeah.
yeah. So they're not going to let this go away. It's just when it stops making money, then it'll go away. When it stops being able to draw eyes to the news, it'll go away. When it stops earning votes, it'll go away.
Yeah.
Or giving them an excuse to have votes just kind of appear.
Magic. Yeah, no, hang on.
Now,
We'll get deleted for
you're
that.
going to get us. We're going to get our channel deleted, man. You're not allowed to.
I-
You're not
I
even
never
allowed
s-
to talk about elections.
I never said that those votes wouldn't appear
The
legitimately.
bot doesn't know what you were saying. The bot's only looking for the voice pattern of a few particular words.
But yeah, it's
Yeah. Besides,
if
happy,
you thought it was
happy.
going to get, if you thought it was going to get better in 2021 and you weren't out there fighting at least as hard as I was, this is on you.
I was cooking popcorn for the apocalypse.
I was actively trying
I've
to
been
prevent it.
disappointed so far.
Give it time. Give it time. So yeah, most of my Christmas break in Italy was spent with too much food, too much friends, too much family, way too much family, and rebuilding the house again.
You
your
have never had
parents-
time off that doesn't involve you rebuilding the house again.
Not lately, no.
do-
Like how many is this like the Weasley's house in Harry Potter or something?
It feels like it some days.
do they pay you as a contractor at this point? You're basically a permanent contractor for them.
Yeah, that's alright. I don't do the bulk of the work. I squeeze out of it whenever I can. So, But it's been an ongoing project to get my folks' house back up and put together because there's like hundreds of smaller projects that have just been left undone.
Mm-hmm.
What about your house?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Become a bit of a white elephant, has it?
Yes. That's been an ongoing point of pain, honestly.
The real estate market not exactly jumping in your section of the world.
In that town in particular, look at it this way. We can look back at the global financial crisis with fondness.
Yeah. Can we go back to that?
That might actually be good. Let's just wind the clock back to 2008.
Yeah, maybe if we do a do-over, we'll get it right this time.
I would take Obama's economy over what we got now.
What? None.
Yeah, like there was not a now hiring sign anywhere, but at least people had cash flow.
Well, and people already weren't accustomed to the idea that the government can just tell you can't work.
Yeah, you could try. You could go talk to a manager or someplace, even if they had a now hiring sign, and sell yourself to them. Now everybody's got a now hiring sign up, but nobody's buying anything. They'll hire you. They just ain't gonna hire you for very long.
With all financial crises, though, the small differences in the ways people have handled the situation are going to magnify over time. It will become evident which paths were correct. Like we know why there was such a terrible economy under Obama, and it was because of the deliberate backing of bad loans.
Yeah.
By the government. Like whenever the federal government, it doesn't really matter what country, offers money to back a essentially private corporate venture, you're going to end up tanking the economy because they'll just take risks on bad propositions. There's no reason not to. It's backed by the government. So
It's free
when
money.
at least when it was under Obama, I could write their stupidity off as just incompetence rather than maliciousness, like it was this time.
It's both
Like
this time.
No, this time I think it's almost entirely just evil.
My opinion is that under Obama it was actually about race grifting in preparation for an election.
But yeah,
Anyway, trying to keep it happy, it ain't working.
it's
No.
not going to be happy, dude. Like, they're
Ari's just not in the particular frame of mind, I think, to be bubbly right now.
No. Absolutely not.
I'm not Doomerin, but I'm not happy.
All right. What games did we play over the break? And I know Ari's going to say none.
Does idling in the PSO2 lobby and finally getting my supermodel title count?
I mean, getting your supermodel title does.
I have done my character's outfit such that I do not have a square inch of skin exposed between the neck and the ankle. And nevertheless, I started getting lookbook likes and I recognized all the names from B34, and this made me sad.
Oh, that's worrying.
Yeah, there is a small fashion subset in B34 that if you run through the lobby, they'll sometimes send you likes or you just stand around for a minute.
But normally their taste in fashion tends towards how little coverage can you get.
Yeah. They get a little bit disturbing.
There are nuns with more skin exposed than my character.
Yeah, I have a bit of my thighs under my skirt, and I do not have an undershirt, so my cleavage is exposed, but that's it.
Yeah. It's actually very odd for a cast female, because like 90% of their leg parts will have part of their bum hanging out.
Well, I mean, it's all robots, so...
It's not actually skin, it's like synthetic plastic or whatever, but...
It's their rear plating.
They've got fully armored bodies, fully armored arms, maybe, fully armored legs, and their bum is still sticking out.
And they're wearing crotchless chaps.
Yes. So, good times. Games I played over the holidays. Ugh. Ended up gifting a few to various people and getting a few back.
Yeah, I still tried to play Santa Claus, but my Santa Claus list was you two, Abo, and 2 others.
It took me an hour to find something that I could buy for Fern.
Yeah.
What did I get you, Fern?
You got me... What did you get me? Oh, you got me the game about the filthy monkeys. Ancestors.
I got you there, I think.
Oh, you got...
That was Vol.
That was Vol. Okay.
Because it was one of the few things that didn't have a price adjustment on it.
Yes. What did Ari get me? Did I have it installed?
Wait.
I think I had it installed.
Because I don't remember having too much trouble with you this year.
Yeah, because I've got a ridiculously long wish list because of all this stuff I want to just keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I tried nearly everything on your wish list.
Yeah.
But the Australian and US currencies are much closer than New Zealand and US currency.
So. Oh, I got you Persona 4 Golden.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And that's because it's got that weird cross-regional pricing adjustment on that because it's Atlas and Persona 4.
That also
yeah, so I looked up how it works, and it's all calculated by percentage of like plus or minus 10%. So the only way to move your way to a more higher likelihood of being able to send something is to just buy something more expensive. Like the more expensive it is, the more likely you are to fall within that 10% difference. If you were try and buy somebody something which costs like $1, then it would need to be, within 10 cents.
Huh. That's stupid. That's really, really dumb.
Yeah, but I think it's not really Steam's fault in a sense. Like, unless they decided to opt to, as a company, absorb the cost, all of it themselves. Basically they were under the demand of the publishers, and now since Epic is in the space as well, they can't go back on that and say no, actually we don't want to play ball, because then all Epic has to do is say, oh well, we'll play ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've done that a few times now.
I do believe Steam would want people to be able to purchase gifts the way they used to.
They must make so much money in gifting season.
Yeah, and I imagine them being locked out like this and people not able to gift games to certain people is just really hurt their bottom line a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a while to actually figure out what to give Ari because his friends list, his wish list, unfortunately, is hidden. I
Is it?
tried to, yeah, it is. I tried to give
Is
you
it?
Crypt of
Oh.
the Necrodancer because they've got this whole Danganronpa crossover going.
Oh yeah,
But you've already got that.
Yeah. Oh, so are you sure it's hidden? Because it was on my wish list just fine.
Yeah, I couldn't see it for some reason.
Oh, you might have looked at it while I was cleaning it out and re-editing it.
Maybe.
If I
No,
think you
I
got
just
me to get the
wish
same
list
thing.
and it showed up fine. So
Yeah, I think Fern might have seen my wish list in the hour I had it cleared out to edit. Because I had a whole bunch of old crap in there that I already bought on other consoles or just didn't want anymore.
Yeah, there's actually a really nice system on Steam now where you can actually mark an item as being bought on another console.
oh, is there? I'll have to do
Yeah,
that
they don't
because I'm
actually
sick of
show
getting
you it.
stuff sent to me that I already own.
It's on the hide from listing options, but not
Oh.
always. It's only in certain places, like the base store page.
Right.
So it will not show it in the list, but will still affect your or what it shows you.
Yeah, because it's been a particular problem with because I buy a lot of JRPGs, but JRPGs appearing on Steam is sort of like a semi-recent phenomenon, and so it thinks that I want all of these games and floods my recommends with stuff that I have on PlayStation. So
Yeah, I played a visual novel through Steam once. That was a mistake.
yeah, I hope you like porn.
Yeah, because that's all you're going to get at that point.
Well,
And go.
I've got all of that stuff set to hidden, all of the erotic contents set to hidden, and I still get 10% of the stuff that gets recommended to me as erotic content.
Yes.
That has just
Yeah.
managed to evade the classification somehow.
Yeah, you can set the given tags to hidden, or you can sell it just to hide content of a certain nature. Which is
I don't like
usually
using the
adults only.
tags. I don't like using the tags because people can tag anything with whatever they want.
Yeah, the tags are completely
Yeah.
arbitrary.
If enough people prop it up, then it'll end up classified that way, which is sometimes funny, but not usually useful.
Yeah.
Or you have people that actively hate a game, like I hated Dino May Cry, and were very malicious in communicating with people on the GameFAQs board about what we can do to screw up the tags.
Yeah, the tags are too easy to exploit, honestly.
I don't remember what I got Ari. I think I got Ari something that was purely because I'd seen it on a Gura stream.
Oh yeah, you got me that perspective game. Fern got me DLC for a game I didn't have.
You had the game, didn't you? It was telling
No,
me you
I
had
had-
the game.
I had the original Shadowrun, but Shadowrun Hong Kong is a different game, so I had to go buy Shadowrun Hong Kong to accept your gift.
That was weird. Because I thought I gave you
That's
base Shadowrun Hong Kong.
No, you got me the DLC for it.
I didn't know you could buy
I
DLC
didn't
for
think you
somebody
could do
to own the
that.
base game.
I didn't either.
Apparently you can. Thank you, Steam. You've ruined Christmas.
That's okay, I fixed it. It's not that big of a deal.
So, yeah,
I
both
got
of the
it
games
again.
I got were in some way ironic. Like, giving Ari a game about Hong Kong just seemed mostly appropriate. Vol, I gave a game about questionable little girls doing questionable things on questionable broomsticks.
Why would you have to say that?
Because I
No,
had to
but-
put it in the worst possible light.
He got me another idea factory JRPG to throw on the pile.
It is a large
It was very
pile.
mediocre, but I usually enjoy them.
Yeah, like I wouldn't call a lot of the games Idea Factory put out is good, but they are still fun.
Most of them aren't good, but
Most of them are
I like
awful.
I like the work their character artists do. It's very clean, and while they are very paint by numbers in a lot of ways, I usually enjoy them because there's usually a lot of jokes in there.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I have skewed very hard into rating things that are humorous as being intrinsically more valuable to me.
Yeah,
Well, I think
I
that's
agree with that.
less to do with being old, and that genuine humor is just hard to come by in the current world.
It really is. Nobody laughs at anything anymore.
Yeah, everything's taken way too seriously these days.
Well, I mean, and that sort of like you can see that roll into my sort of inherent resistance to the very existence of the Phantom class in PSO2 because it's all about taking yourself seriously, even if nobody in universe takes them as seriously as they seem to like
Yeah.
to be taken.
You're a walking poster child for Teenage syndrome.
And the thing I appreciate the most about that is that everybody else seems to see fandoms that way as well.
Yeah.
But it's just that harkens back to that sort of the dark period in every young man's history where they thought edgy stuff was cool.
I'll have to, when I finish this run, maybe duck back to the hub and actually put the Phantom Trainer on screen, just so you can see how much of an edgelord this guy is.
Oh, do you have access to episode 6, Fern?
I think I can just go into it.
No, you have to finish 5 first for that one, don't you?
I think maybe.
Maybe.
That's why I was asking. I don't remember. I had episode 5 completed before
I've
episode
only
6
done
came out.
maybe the first bits of the story content and nothing
Ca-
beyond that.
Because just putting the class trainers side stories on the screen, I think, would get the point across the best.
He's about as chuny as they come.
He is the most chuny character I've ever seen in any piece of media.
That sounds brilliant.
I don't remember anything specific about my edgelord phase other than I'm about 99.99999% sure I had one, and that if I did remember anything I would cringe horribly.
Yeah, that's the way it usually goes.
Like, I don't have a fanfiction.net account to
I had forgotten
chronicle
mine
my dark
existed
past.
I had forgotten mine existed until you reminded me of my fanfiction.net account.
Here's a little fact: everyone had an edgelord phase.
Everybody.
I know that it's true for guys. I don't know if it's true for women.
Less so for women, yeah, but yeah,
they
for guys,
have an alternative phase, from what I've seen, where they just really, really like gay stuff.
I think that's a new phenomenon. I think.
Yeah.
I think
it seems to be a
it's
relatively
just,
new phenomenon.
I think it's just the starry-eyed relationship type deal that they would get in the past. It's just gay stuff really appeals to them at that age, and because that's a modern phenomenon, just is the form that takes.
The weird phenomenon that I don't comprehend, which is like the idea that guys like edgelordery is, I can sort of understand the idea that perhaps this is something that women would not understand, that it's a thing, but in the case of women, the one that I don't understand, and this is not a universal one, but it's something that seems to be a common experience for young men who went to, you know, a co-ed primary school. I don't know, it probably stops after primary school, is there's always a cadre of girls who are fanatical about horses.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. What is it about horses?
I don't know. My sister went that way.
Yeah, my aunt loves horses still. She never grew out of that.
Yeah.
I live next door to a 70-something-year-old lady who just raises and breeds racehorses.
There's money in that, though. Like, a lot of money.
That's not in any way, though, tied to the sort of the little girl fanaticism about horses.
Yeah, that's different.
But it seems to be almost universal, at least in the West, that there's always going to be the group of horse-mad girls.
Yep.
It's
just a thing.
All right. What else have we got to talk about before we move on? I'm trying to think. We don't actually have a whole lot of news to go because, you know, we get on holidays and so did everybody else.
Well,
and everybody was busy, you know, getting upset about what's happening in America or whatever.
So
Or
I guess I can try and distract us with what I did do in PSO2, although I wasn't doing anything substantive. I can talk about some of the classes
Are we just
up to max
skipping over
level.
me?
I thought you didn't have anything.
Well, nobody asked.
Okay.
Ain't gotten that far yet.
There you go. I'm not even alive today. I'm
No, you're
awake,
not.
but I'm not alive.
Now I have to actually remember what I did. So I had to work for most of the latter part of the break.
No, that feel, bro.
Because, yeah, I'm in one of those industries that this isn't allowed to ever shut down because it still needs to keep running. But I did get Christmas Day and Boxing Day off at least, which is something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna have to take some leave at some point. It's really starting to build up, and they're going to get mad at me if I try and, you know, take 2 months off at a time because it'll probably cause a business to crater. So I'll have to figure something out, but I don't really have anywhere I want to go. I don't have anybody to go with, and I don't really like traveling by myself. So I'll probably end up just loafing if I take time off. So I'll probably take a small incremental time off rather than a large one to keep myself from hitting the leave cap. But so I spent a good amount of what little free time I had starting to make some inroads to catching up on the PSO2 story. So most of what I know about the PSO2 story comes from the method through which it was communicated in the anime. The second anime.
Yeah, not the first one. Do not
The
watch the
first one.
first one.
I have heard that the first one actually takes place during the events of episode 4.
Okay.
And it's
Yeah.
just they are part of the mother cluster that they're not like part of the mother cluster. They exist in the same sort of age bracket and culture. However, they are part of the population that just sees PSO2 as a game, not as an actual place.
Yeah,
But,
they actually show up as recruitable NPCs while episode 4 was going. You could get their character cards.
But that's neither here nor there, since all those that whole series is just pure distilled concentrated cringe.
It is really
And you
bad.
Really don't want any part of
The
it.
best
if at
part
all
about it was the dancing cast in the end credits. That's it.
But yeah, so I went through the rest of it. Well, no, that's not correct because I didn't have that much free time. I made some progress anyway. So prior to that particular binge, I had only cleared sort of most of episode 1. So I finished first order of business is to finish the first 3 episodes, which is roughly the scope covered by the anime. The biggest difference between the anime and the game version of that story is that the whole Haruka-tan part of the story is just excised for time reasons in the anime, which is sort of a bit sad, I guess, because I really like Sukuna Hime. I think she's really cool. But also, it's totally not necessary in most ways. But now that I've seen the game version of it, I can see the sort of the seams where they have pasted stuff in the anime. The situation where Gemini gives all of their power to the protagonist doesn't really play out very well in the anime version because Ash doesn't. Basically, Ash and Gemini just have a big fight because reasons.
No.
The anime does a much better job of the lead in to Matoi being the profound darkness, though. They do a way better job of that than the game. It almost has shades of Heaven's Feel in the anime, where there's actually this situation where there's a lot of active pressure on the protagonist to kill Matoi from what's his name? The brat.
Xiao.
The brat.
Well, he's a brat.
He is a brat.
That's carried off a lot better in the anime, but despite its flaws, the game version of the story, you can sort of see where they realized that they needed to sort of pick up their game a bit, because the writing for episode 3 particularly is just leagues ahead of everything that preceded it. Episode 1 is extraordinarily bad. And it's bad when you first play it, but it only looks even worse the further through the main story you get.
I'm picking away at episode 1, and a lot of it is just disjointed activities, and a lot of it's just characters popping up, introducing themselves, and disappearing again.
Yeah, most of the characters that do that don't exist in the anime.
The exception being the homicidal cast lady, Sniper.
Well, she's a fan favorite, so she gets in there. But
and she's a core part of the story in episode 6 as well.
She's genuinely nuts too, and I love her. It's great.
She's a fan favorite. She's more important to the story, and also is just I would say a louder character.
Yes.
In the sense of she has more impact on the people around her due to her her personality than most of the other characters do. Like Fourier, basically for all intents and purposes, doesn't exist in the anime. Like, I didn't remember her at all. Maybe she appears as a background character at some point.
Yeah.
She is literally there just to give launcher skills from her presence early on, and then when that became irrelevant, everybody forgot about her.
Yeah.
Like she essentially doesn't exist. Malu essentially doesn't exist. Oza essentially doesn't exist. They've all been cut in for good reason. And they are, in a sense, part of what really bogs down episode 1 as well, because they keep getting given screen time. They try and go somewhere with Malu and Oza later. I don't know if that ever bears fruit, because as far as I can see, they just continue to bicker and then proceed from bickering to denying that they're dating.
Yeah, it's they believe their hatred for the other is their dislike of Force and Hunters respectively, instead of just they're on different wavelengths in the male-female communication department, and they actually like each other.
Their issues purely stem from the fact that men and women look at things differently. And they are trying to. They have clearly got a personal relationship and think that that's a professional relationship and don't know the difference. But
I mean, it's a cute foundation to build off of, but no, they don't do anything with it. They
if
kind of
they
drop
were
it.
characters that meant something to the story, then it would have more of a payoff, but it doesn't. By contrast, Echo's story with Zeno does have a payoff. Like this, I think, is the first time I've ever seen a Japanese game just follow through, and the two characters which spend most of the main part of the story circling around each other, actually get hitched in the end.
Yeah, the wedding event that led off the U.S. server or the English server was for Zeno and Echo's wedding, I think. So.
I sort of like the fact that all it really took was Shira to come in and point out, like, why exactly aren't you guys married? But so episode 3 is written a lot better. It's got the whole Haruka-tan arc thing, which is sort of a weird plot tumor because it just sort of appears from nowhere, but it gives the opportunity to introduce Sukuna Hime, and then she appears to summarily disappear from the story.
Haruka-tan comes back as important in episode 6.
What I'm actually wondering is, will it come back in the PSO2 too? Because Sukuna Hime doesn't die, she doesn't get old. So even though PSO2 takes place 1,000 years later, she'll still be around, theoretically.
Yeah,
So there's an opportunity to bring her back at that point.
She hasn't died yet in the story of the game, so I don't know if she does or not. So there's still opportunity.
Well, it's all but outright stated that she's immortal from natural causes. Like, she's not going to die naturally. She would have to be killed.
Yeah, but they're doing all kinds of funny rule breaking stuff in episode 6.
Yeah, they also don't really explain what exactly she is, other than sort of doing a little legend bit. But those scenes as well, they show that obviously they'd put more money in the creative budget for the story team at that point, since they've actually got more of those sequences, which are just sort of animated exposition and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But that while it looks sort of like a plot tumor in a lot of ways, since they bring in this entire society with its own sort of societal structure, its own history, its own myths and legends, and its own god, and then they just drop it from the story again afterwards, so it seems like a plot tumor. It does smooth over some of the creases that are left by excising it from the animated version. So yeah, that was a thing. Then I played through episode 4, and I actually kind of liked episode 4, but it was definitely an anime.
Yeah,
it was definitely that was an anime. That was an anime that I just happened to be watching from the inside. Everything about it was anime. Every story beat, all of the pacing. It was a 2-core anime.
Not bad.
It's really weird.
Well, you say it was really weird, but I sort of didn't. The only thing that I thought about it that was weird was how much it felt like an anime. Like everything else about it seemed pretty normal. Like all the story beats were exactly what I expected them to be.
Yeah,
largely
just-
due to the fact that it was an anime.
There's just a weird feeling I get with it. I don't have anything concrete to specifically point to with that, but it just feels really weird.
I don't know. I liked it, and I liked it more in retrospect because I didn't like. Well, I've played part of episode 5. I don't know how far through it I am. I just dealt with Luther,
Again.
so I don't know how far through episode 5 that is. But
About halfway.
frankly, I'm not that thrilled about it, and I think it's because I'm playing it immediately after episode 4. The drop in production value is just so staggering.
Yeah, especially with the little VN sections.
Yeah,
where
they've resorted to using the VN style where they've got effectively the character cutting out talking approach, where you've got your waist up character who is saying their line facing the camera, and the person they're talking to is also a waist up character on the other side of the screen facing the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Which that I don't have a problem with that in its context, but episode 4 was exquisitely directed as an anime would be. Like everything was a fully fleshed out scene presented as a scene in an anime would, with proper camera work and direction.
Yeah.
And to see that suddenly, all of a suddenly, just disappear was extremely jarring.
It would be.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed that they did that, because I think my enjoyment of the story in episode 5 would have been significantly higher if they'd maintained consistency of style. But yeah, I'm a bit sad about that. I don't know how things will go moving on to episode 6. I haven't finished episode 5 yet. Maybe I'll make some headway on it tomorrow. But I feel like they should not have decided that they need to always take this approach of moving from new hotness to new hotness as far as the mechanics go, because I feel kind of sad that Buster Quests won't ever be a thing for me because I wasn't playing during that span.
Yeah.
And for the people that were, I presume that they got it for a much shorter amount of time than the Japanese player base would have.
The Japanese
Mhm.
player base would have had it for a year and a half, 2 years.
I don't know
Yeah.
how it works. I don't know what the difference between the timescales were. But-
Well, they've had it for 8 years, and we've had it for less than 1.
Yeah, so I know it's a shorter amount of time, but I just don't know what the ratio is. But
yeah.
it seemed like an interesting concept that deserved some time to develop, and I'm just kind of a bit irked that it.
Yeah, they apparently
Stop.
the Japanese player base in particular hated Buster Quest because that was literally all they had for episode 5.
Yeah, see that's something that you can say, oh well, this was a mistake in hindsight because our content pacing wasn't good enough. But there is an opposite problem, as we've discussed in the past.
Yeah.
It's so the other reason we won't see Buster Quest again is because I think from what I understood reading the Reddit, because I'll explain why later. I was reading all about Buster Quest this week. The Japanese player base, when it was announced there would be no exploration originally until they added the Enchanted Forest, and they were just getting Buster Quests for non-urgent play, and that was it for episode 5 originally, the player base revolted. They hated that.
Yeah.
That doesn't really seem like a good reason to abandon the whole concept, though. Like, because I haven't played them, other than for what the story demands, there's a lot that I don't know about them. But so it's possible that it naturally leads to some kind of unbelievably degenerate gameplay, but it seems like a concept that you should be developing rather than just abandoning because you got a backlash from the player base. Because because you haven't given me an example of some direct flaw in the concept that they're pointing to.
Well, yeah, no, the reason the community got upset wasn't because there was a problem specifically that was inherent with Buster Quest. It's just that was all they were going to get for episode 5, and the whole game would just be Buster Quest.
That's
originally.
what makes it seem strange to me that they would just get rid of them as a concept and just never attempt to make new ones or develop it at all, or make
Yeah.
variations. They just ditch the concept because, the players got mad this one time.
Yeah, I guess the idea was that anything remotely Buster Quest like would be interpreted as, oh, it's another Buster Quest and be bad PR. That could be a reason. There could be a lot of reasons. I don't know specifically why the developers decided to drop Buster Quest afterwards, but and not revisit them later. But the fact of the matter is, the player base was mad, so that probably had something to do with it, and they didn't know how to handle the PR of continuing them. Because immediately afterwards, they started working on the Forest Expedition, which is different than the other ones, and was rushed out the door, and why it feels so weird.
Oh, I thought it was just me. I thought, oh, maybe I was expecting something and I didn't get it, because it just feels very hollow to me.
Yeah, and it's like that on purpose, because it was rushed out the door, because the player base was so mad at Buster Quest.
Yeah, it seems to me like it was designed purely to excite people by having lots of important loot.
Yeah.
Not because it's actually any good, because it's not. It's an empty forest for the most part.
Yeah.
But then they put the sodding whatchamacallit at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Castrum Demonica.
Yeah.
If they were so afraid of Buster Quest giving bad PR, why would they put a Castrum Demonica as the boss? That seems kind of backward.
Yeah, I don't know. The Buster Quest themselves have a whole lot of issues playing them, but none of them are anything else that the rest of the game doesn't also have. Well, they're different problems, but it's the same type of problem. The Buster Quests are just too repetitive and a really wonky pace, and the random factor that goes into how long a Buster Quest will take. It can be instantly finished if you get 2 attack phases, or it will take forever because you'll get only 1 attack phase. Then it just contributes to them not feeling very good to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about any of this because I'm never going to get to play them. And since they've abandoned the concepts, they're never going to iron out any of those problems. And it just seems to me like, did you guys seriously just write off all that development time? Because you can tell that they put a lot of development time into it.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of effort that went into setting up how these things work, but it just because they didn't plan anything else to go with it, the players really didn't like it. And that I'm here to tell you, if you played during episode 5 and played Buster Quest, you have fun for about 2 days and then get bored. And not just bored, you'd get mad that you had to keep doing them. I didn't progress my character at all in episode 5, because episode 6 comes out really fast. But even if it wasn't, I still wouldn't have been very motivated to continue to get my Chevelle crap. Because it takes an absurd amount of Buster Quests to do that.
I totally understand that things get boring when you've got one thing to do and you have to do it over and over. It's just that, to me, it's just now one of those things that I can't participate in ever. But it's still always sort of loitering around in the background, especially if you're playing through episode 5 late and then you are given the unenviable task of soloing Buster Quests.
Yeah, you can.
The most tiresome crap imaginable.
I think you can skip them.
Some of them you can, most of them you can't.
Oh, well, there's the Attack the Castrum Demonica that's a little different than the Buster Quest that have the Buster Quest aesthetic but don't have the same mechanics.
No, there are actual ones that you have to queue up and wait. You can wait for other people who will never come because nobody's doing Buster Quests.
Oh yeah. And we're at during the last patch of episode 5, when the last bit of the story released, they released a patch. They did this on the Japanese server too. For anybody that goes into a Buster Quest and goes into it solo, unless it's a ranked Buster Quest match at grade 3+, the highest rank, if you go into it solo, it'll be scaled down and you'll only have to protect 2 towers. And the most breakpoints a castle wall can have is 2.
Oh yeah, that's true for all of the rank 1 ones.
Yeah, so the ones in story I think got that treatment, so they could be soloed.
Yeah, they can be soloed, but it's still unbelievably dull because there are still 2 towers, which means that you constantly have to spend your time running in between 2 towers. If they reduced it to 1 tower and then just doubled the amount of dudes coming towards it, that would be a different story, because then you could fight them out but that would also defeat the whole point defense concept. But the thing is, the point I'm trying to get at here is that it doesn't work solo,
Yeah.
which is why it would have made more sense to keep it as an enduring and populated mechanism within the game. But yeah, I don't. It's just it's all water under the bridge now since PSO2 is basically over for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And so there's not going to be any more development on it since that's going to go to the new one, the PSO22. But yeah, it does sort of irritate me that they make such a big deal out of this mechanic in the storyline, which is essentially inaccessible. And I presume that they experience a very, very abbreviated revival every time that it appears in like the weekly quests or whatever.
Oh yeah, the start of this week is pretty much the best, would have been the best week. The very first day this week, the daily big money quest from the Daily Girl was Circuit Buster quest. It was on the tier missions, so you could do it on Wednesday, and there were people doing them. But
one day,
yeah. You had one day to do them. And even then, you had to do grade 3 at best, and it still would take you like 45 minutes to get a group together.
Yeesh.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm halfway through the chapter 5, and they are very enthusiastic with their recolors, I must say, with their palette swapped enemies. They've made a yet another palette swap. Last time it was blue. This time it is sort of like lavender. And yeah, and I gotta say I don't like the Dark Blast mechanic at all. I think it's asinine. Like it fits in with the anime-esque approach that the entire game has conceptually, but I think it's just kind of dumb. Like, now you are the demons.
Yeah.
It works when there are in some urgent quests. Like there's one urgent quest that came out that requires everybody to have Dark Blast unlocked to even participate, and you have to have Luther unlocked. And you would go underground in Lilipa and fight Omega again, but you'd fight her underground, and at the end of it, she bursts out of the ground and starts flying, and everybody is in permanent Luther form for that whole phase. And it feels way better than a stupid AIS or something because it's something you've got used to controlling already.
Oh, I had to solo a quest the other day with I forget what it was, the little buggy thing you get.
Buggy thing? Oh, the bug
Ride Droid.
Duo?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ride Droid.
The single worst mechanic they've ever put in this game.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be that bad, though. There's no excuse for it to be that bad.
Ugh, Ride Droids.
Ride Droids were apparently a direct response to people complaining about the urgent quest in Harukaton, where you would have to go around and get accrue quest points, and the map was freaking huge.
And their response was to just make it worse?
Yeah, so the Ride Droids were their first attempt to fix it. And then when that flubbed, their next attempt to fix the problem was the dash panels that worked much better.
Yeah, dash panels are fun. The Ride Droid, it's like, here's a vehicle that will get you where you want to go. Sort of.
It does not ascend or descend very quickly.
No.
That's its biggest problem. I could get used to its jank, like, almost tank-like controls. But
I think tank-like would be too generous.
Yeah.
But it just does not go up or down very fast.
No. Especially when they give you those ring courses to complete and they require you to go up and down. It usually means you need to stop, adjust, and then keep going.
It's just, why would you do this? Oh my goodness. So many experimental mechanics, but hey, I guess at least they are attempting experimental mechanics, unlike the World of Warcraft team.
Who are clinging to things that demonstrably don't work.
Yeah, they're only able to, like, they're in their zeal to do a new thing, they always end up doing the old thing, which is to inject something arbitrary and new that nobody understands and nobody wants.
Instead of developing an old idea that works, they just get rid of it.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I'll try and make more progress on that, and then do episode 6, and we'll see where we are at that. As far as I don't have the sort of zeal for just grinding up classes all the time that Ari and Ibu seem to. So even though I've been at 95 for a while on my Bow Braver, I'm still mainly playing as the Bow Braver because I just want to warm things and move on.
Yeah.
I've got Etoile at 85 because it's a subclass for Bow Braver that's, I think, more effective than using the Hunter as a subclass. Plus, I want to reassign Hunter as a DPS class because I kind of like the pace of the sword. But that's just another project to work on. So I'm still having fun playing it. It's just it's disappointing how many things they managed to screw up in the process of deploying it in the West. If they hadn't just dug their heels in for so many years, this wouldn't have happened.
They still haven't explained why they did that.
I think it wouldn't have happened at all if PSO 2.2 wasn't going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suspect that.
So I think this is all just prepping for PSO 2.2 in the West.
Yeah, they.
You know, we call it that so much that I can't even remember what it's actually called.
New Genesis.
I can't. Okay, yeah.
But
PSO 2.2.
2.2, yes. Like they've stripped away the requirement that everything needs to work on the PlayStation Vita, so it's given them a lot more leeway to work with stuff.
It's giving the players fingers.
It's giving the players moving fingers.
I know.
I wish they hadn't said that, actually. Because now, every time I watch a cutscene, the only thing I can think about is how their fingers aren't moving.
Yes.
It's really...
I never even noticed. I never even noticed before. It just didn't occur to me before that it was a thing. But once they pointed it out...
You notice it as a summoner because of the weird way your character holds a harmonizer.
Oh, I guess that might be the case, but my experience has been like, well, it wasn't edited into my brain, I guess, because like I don't really expect much from it because World of Warcraft had crappy graphics for the longest time, and you know if their hands happen to look like wooden blocks, well, I mean that's just. It's still a PSO2 is still a step up from a lot of other MMOs as far as animations go, and I hadn't really paid much attention to the fact that the hands are always locked in the same position, which is not the same as not realizing that was the case. So much as it didn't occur to me to think anything about it. It was just the way it was because it's an old game. But now that they've pointed it out, I notice every time when the fingers should move and don't.
Yeah,
you especially notice that during the dance parties.
Well, that's why the dances are the way they are.
Yeah.
Specifically the arc stance.
It involves
and why it's
broad hand waves rather than pointing and things.
It's all arm motions and hip motions because the fingers can't move.
Yeah.
I wish they hadn't said anything. They should have just not said anything.
It's just one of those things you can't unnotice. Anyway.
Very, very frustrating.
So moving on then. What else we got to talk about?
I guess. Okay.
I'm not done.
Oh.
I'm done with PSO2.
We're done with PSO2. Yeah. Moving on.
Remember, this has been like 3 weeks.
Yeah, like I said, I'm zonked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so the other major thing was the FGO event for New Year. And I actually really, really liked this event. I did not like my traumatic experience at the start of the event involving attempting to roll for Benny Enma, which was disastrous. To say the least.
500 Discord messages.
I just totally blew up Fern's Discord.
You did. I walked away for like half an hour to have a meal, and I come back and there's like 380 odd messages, and he's still going. What the hell?
The gacha is a cruel mistress.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, so I was rolling for Benny Enma.
No burb for you. You got a burb eventually.
At the very end, yes, but I had to blow 900 quartz roughly on it. Might have been slightly more than that by the end, but it was
money.
It was I didn't spend it. I didn't spend a cent.
Yeah, have you actually spent that in money? It would have been. Oh, jeez,
No,
I can't even want to think about that.
I hoarded quartz for Benny Enma.
In US, that'd be around $800.
I don't want to think about the money side of the thing. Because I didn't spend any money, and I don't want to think about the cost of quartz.
That is an unpleasant number. Let's just leave it at that.
So the first was the GSSR, which I rolled, and I got sodding Shinsen Gumida again. Which is like the last New Year's GSSR I rolled, I got him.
He likes you.
I don't use him. I don't use him. He's cray cray. And he's also not really any good. Eventually he'll get a strengthening where he gets a gut skill that makes him somewhat good. Because his gimmick is that his skills are based around him getting stronger the lower his hit points are. But he's also a berserker. Which means that you can't just lower his hit points, he dies.
Yeah, he'll explode.
But he gets a gut skill in one of his later in one of his later strengthenings, which allows you to set up a situation where he will take lethal damage, get back up, and then wail on the opponent with a ridiculously powerful Noble Phantasm. So there you can arrange at that point a situation for him to do a ton of damage. The problem is that why in the heck would you?
Yeah.
You could just use somebody who doesn't suck. So I'm salty about that. I mean, he's now an NP2 5-star, so it's not like he's not going to hit like a truck now if I do decide to use him for some purpose. But the occasion to do so is just unbelievably rare. And in most of the occasions where I want a 5-star single target berserker, I'll just go for Littlest Sith Lord because Littlest Sith Lord has Skadi to support it. And is also way more durable and offers team utility, which I think is her team utility is better, and it allows you to move around the distribution of crit stars as well. Like there's lots of reasons for using MHEs, but yeah. So I was salty about that, but I mean, what else? So then there was the 900 St. Quartz Marathon to get Benny Enma. I got like 3 copies of Tamamo Cat, and I got like 3 copies of Fion. And what else did I get? I think I got Pavati, who I didn't really want because I've got Valks for that job. The difference between the two is extremely subtle. Most people would come down on the side of Pavati being better than Volks for AoE farming, but I like Volks better.
You got Sig.
I did. I got another Siggy because you can't go on a rolling spree without getting a Siggy. Ari will tell you that.
He'll show up, he'll apologize, and then he'll just sit in your extended archive.
You know, the rare prisms he's gotten me have helped me get things like Mona Lisa unlocked again that I didn't have bought before. So, in a way, Siggy has helped a little bit.
Yes, by being incinerated. which puts me in mind of the preview episode of whatchamacallit, Fate Grand Carnival.
It helps if you both play Fate Grand Order and have watched Carnival Phantasm, because there's a lot of jokes which just rely entirely on both. Like the treatment of all the Kukulanes.
Well, that's been a meme in the fandom for a long time. Because originally because of the fact that he dies in every route. Mm-hmm. But I bring it up upon Ari's mention of rare prisms because after Gudako trapdoors all of the coups, including Coup Alter despite him being a 5-star.
Just for the rolls. Or for the meme, actually.
In the next scene, she's eating something, and if you look closely, they are mana prisms and 1 rare prism.
See.
There's so many just little tiny jokes in that, and it's great. Whoops. And I just absolutely flubbed my Rappy slots, which is where I've been parked for the last half hour. Because this is how you play PSO2.
I got a lot of... You're really bad at mining. You realise that you can't get crafting mats out of...
I've ran out of energy.
I see.
So I'm playing Rappy slots while it rebuilds.
So, as painful and despair-inducing as blowing 900 quartz to get 1 5-star is, it did at least mean that I had a ton of event CEs just kicking about. I had for instance, for the 3-star in particular, I was able to field a full set of max limit break 3-star CEs from collecting materials. And the event is the is the Inmate. So I got Benny Enma, who is the starring character and the proprietress of the Inmate Inn. And she's also the she's the settings equivalent of Gordon Ramsay.
Oh,
so she as a servant, I really like her. She's absolutely adorable. Her animations are incredible. Her Noble Phantasm is both effective and adorable and hilarious. And generally speaking, she brings a ton of utility and hits like a truck in her niche. She's not like the most powerful offensive servant, but I don't have any other 5-star sabers, so it's been a real boon having her on the team. Plus, she's got lots of things like she's got entire enemy party defense down, entire enemy party Noble Phantasm seal, enemy party crit down, own party attack up, own party healing, own party NP up plus 20% for all. Like, she's just a utility knife of all of the very best buffs and debuffs. So she's been a really great character to have on my team. And she's the main character in this event, and the event is basically Sion manages to develop a method of ray shifting in the new Kildare, and they need to test it out. And the test that they're planning to do is to just go on a hot springs trip to this minor singularity, which will just disappear on its own. But they sort of get lost on the way and end up at the Enmate instead. And the party becomes separated, and Gordolf and Diarmid and Fion get separated off in one group, and Protagonist and Kiahime and Tamamo and what's her name? Tomoe get separated off in another group. And the Protagonist group winds up at the inn early, and Gordolf's group arrives late, but they arrive at the shrine instead of at the front entrance, and they see all of the food that has been put on the shrine as offerings. And basically the short version is that they dig in incredibly unwise fashion, because in terms of relative time, they've actually been wandering around for 5 days in the forest and are very hungry. So they end up tampering with the offering box, and this results in all of the basically the gratitude points that have been accumulated in the Enmate over the course of the year get lost, and the party from Kildare has to somehow accumulate more. So basically the process of the event is that you have to attract more guests and renovate the rooms in the inn to try and improve the business prospects of the Enmate over the course of the story. So this gives them the chance to do a lot of really entertaining little vignettes. So there's one where, like, I think it's referred to as like the 9 heaviest drinkers in Kildare all show up and throw a party at which they go out of their way to perform Elizabeth's iconic favorite song, "Love Is Cool," and they're all completely smashed and trying to sing one of Liz's pop songs. It's absolutely a hilarious scene, and there are a lot of scenes like that. It's a very, very silly event. There's a situation in which they need to get dragon's jewels for one of the guests, and they don't have a dragon to fight to take jewels from. So Tomoe decides that what she's going to do is she's going to set up a situation where there is a bell, and there is a monk and a woman meeting together during the night at the bell, so that it will collect Kiahime's grudges and then form a shadow servant for them to kill, which can turn into a dragon.
I see.
Tomoe is very serious, but all of her ideas are utterly harebrained. So yeah, so Tomoe ends up accidentally framing Kiyohime for the abduction/murder of several servants, because once the shadow Kiyohime is born, it looks identical to actual Kiyohime, but consists only of Kiyohime's evil parts and goes around the inn basically eating other snack servants.
Right.
So Medusa gets caught, Lolly Medusa also gets caught, Chiyomu gets caught, but eventually you've got to go and hunt down this Kiyohime once Tomoe admits to actual Kiyohime why actual Kiyohime is being treated as a criminal. But yeah, there's lots and lots of very silly stories take place. I enjoyed the event very much, and the thing that I enjoy the most about the event is it is very gentle on the grinding. There is a certain amount of grinding to be done, but if you do all of your grinding up front in like the first 4 days or whatever, you can just relax for the entire next 10 days and just do, a little bit of natural AP each day to top things off. Like there are 6 days left, I think, in the event at this point, and the only thing that is left in the shop is monuments for me. And I've not been going particularly hard on the grinding or anything. It's quite easy to collect the stuff that you need. It's definitely a holiday event that was paced for people who are on holiday and have other things to do. So, yeah, I'm actually very pleased about that because it means I get to actually take my time and enjoy the event, and I don't need to think about the event running out on me or something like that. So, yeah, that's been good. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed it very much. Everything that happens is extremely silly, extremely ridiculous, and it comes to a happy end in the end because you managed to save the inn and everything is all fine. And it was a fun little event with lots of humor, and you could build an entire season of Fate Grand Carnival just out of the things that take place during this New Year's break. Like, there's everything that happens is just completely ridiculous. But yeah. So as far as games that I played go, that's pretty muchly it. PSO2 and FGO took up the bulk of my time. Of course, I've received a bunch of games over Christmas, and I need to now dig into those.
Yeah.
But when am I going to find the time? Because work keeps happening. All the time, man.
Oh, the freaking time.
Mhm.
Growing up was not worth it.
Growing up was a mistake.
It was always a mistake.
Alright, we should probably take a break then.
Yep.
Oh,
We're going to go to some music, and we will be right back. And we're back.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, was there anything else you particularly wanted to go on about, Vol?
Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there might have been, but I can't remember at this point. And I haven't watched enough of the new anime to comment on it yet.
The new season of anime is looking really, really good, but a lot of it hasn't started yet.
I'm totally incredulous that they did a second season of Uma Musume, though.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Like, why? That
But-
means that there are now 2 anime seasons for a mobile game that I don't think ever got released.
But horse waifus.
I find the whole thing unsettling because my image of racehorses is that they get put out to pasture if they break a leg.
No, if they get break a leg, they get shot.
That's what I was saying.
You're just being nice about it.
I was being euphemistic.
Nah, no euphemisms for that. So,
But,
this is very unpleasant.
It puts a very dark pall on the whole thing, since like one of the core dramas that the series likes to trade on is, oh well, the girls aren't going to be able to achieve their dream because they've sustained an injury. No, it's not going to stop it not being able to achieve your dream, I'm afraid.
You're going to stop achieving life.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, granted,
way
with actual horses, if they break a leg, that's generally the more humane way of dealing with it.
Yeah, because it's basically they can't live properly anymore.
But when they're a waifu,
yeah, you're not supposed to shoot waifus.
you're not supposed to shoot waifus.
Not really what they're for.
So yeah, I've been digging back through some older stuff. I went through and watched Azumanga Daioh at last, which is a show that lives and dies entirely on memes.
It's older memes now.
It
That
is
show's
old memes, and some of them are dated.
I don't
But
want
we're
to know how old it is.
basically boomers now, so
Yeah. But for a very meme-heavy show, it still ended up being rather wholesome and nice, so that was fun.
well, shows of that type were like that back then. It sort of started to drift in a different direction because of Lucky Star, which was this sort of Azumanga Daioh with the meminess turned up to 113.
Yeesh. That might be too much meme.
And endless conversations about chocolate coronets.
So yeah. But there was wholesomeness, so to wash that away, I started to watch Overlord. Which...
Well, that
yeah, I'm enjoying it, but it's not particularly good, is it?
no, it's not good.
It's
None
not
of those isekai.
No.
What are you talking about? What were you even looking for?
I was looking for isekai garbage, and that's precisely what I got. It's just...
No, the only conceit really is that it was probably one of the first major popular isekai titles where the protagonist is just an outright bad guy.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair,
He's really not.
he's a bad guy by means of being a pragmatist.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any reason to be evil.
He doesn't go out of his way to be evil. It's just sometimes that's the most expedient way to go about it.
He has no compunction about, say, human experimentation. But there's no reason to experiment on humans if he can't get anything out of it.
Yeah. But it feels like they have a whole lot of build-up for a lot of things, and then it doesn't really go anywhere for a lot of the time.
That's like every isekai ever, though.
Yeah, so again, every isekai ever. I'm not sure what I'm going to watch after I've run its course, though. So I'll probably pick something from the new series.
Well, Log Horizon's doing its thing, isn't it?
It is an actually good isekai. The one that got overshadowed by an exceptionally bad isekai.
Yeah, I think they animated pretty much everything, not quite, but nearly everything that is in the English light novels has already been animated in the first season. So I'm going to be able to go into this one pretty much blind on what's going to happen.
So yeah, there's plenty of anime. The only big thing that me and a lot of people are getting really excited about, though, I mean, people are still getting excited about Cyberpunk for all the wrong reasons. But, yeah, Monster Hunter Rise has had some big info dumps, and the demo is out. It's fun. Like, it is definitely a graphical step down from World because it was on the Switch.
But it looks like it's using all the same technology.
It is, and I'm pretty sure it's the same engine.
They've just, for whatever reason, decided that they aren't going to put it on any kind of current generation hardware.
Yeah.
For no reason. I'm salty about it because I really wanted to see it on the PC or the PS4.
There is rumored to be a PC release.
Yeah, I mean, that might give me an excuse to move my play over to the PC. But yeah, it seems to me like that this whole being selective about your platforms thing, or the idea that there's some kind of heritage to it being a handheld game, I feel like all of that stuff has just been blown away by Genshin Impact.
Mm-hmm.
They have proven that the distinction is largely artificial between mobile platforms and the higher powered platforms.
Yes.
Now it's just a matter of will more than anything else.
Yeah, partly it's, I think, because of exclusivity deals and all of that other nonsense, and I think part of it is just sheer stubbornness or unwillingness to change.
Yeah, neither of those reasons are particularly impressive.
No, they're not. They're really crap reasons, but that's, I think, the reality we're dealing with here.
People do stupid things for stupid reasons all the stupid time.
Yes, that one. But it's good. Rise has got... They finally figured out how the Leviathan skeleton should work, which they didn't do in time for World. Or Iceborne, for that matter, and I'm a bit salty about that. So we got Mizutsune as a playable or fightable monster in the demo, the old bubble dragon.
That was one that I was really hoping would appear in World.
Yeah, I think she was slated to originally. Her and Legiacris and Agnactor.
It felt to me like the Coral Highlands was almost calibrated to her color palette.
Yeah. Just like that area where Levasioth is basically custom built for the Agnactor.
If you could put an Agnactor or Levasioth, why would you pick Levasioth?
Yeah, exactly. Levasioth is the absolute worst fight in World. Hands down, the worst.
Like, and you know, that you have to try pretty hard to be worse than you know the mudfish.
Yeah, it's like mudfish, but now it's on fire instead of being a pinata.
It's like all of the novel things about the mudfish, like, you know, it can drop big goops of mud which make you walk slowly to get through them and that sort of thing. Like all of the creative parts of that, even though that was a really boring fight, have now been stripped out in favor of just it shoots fireballs and it's a fish.
Yeah, it's bad. So, yeah, we're going to get Leviathans back. We've got Tetsukabra, who is the Bulldozer Frog, is back, apparently, because his armor's in the game. And there's a baby one, actually, in the player hub.
Somebody inflicted on me a phrase which I've steadfastly avoided thinking about in any detail, which is involved in a discussion about what a circumcised Kezu would look like.
No! Why? What is wrong with you?
It's not my fault. It's something that I was subjected to by social media.
And if you needed any further proof that social media is the downfall of humanity, there you go. Why? And that's going to stick in the brain.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't be the only one to suffer.
So Kezu's back anyway. He's looking disgusting.
Well, he's an electric penis.
Yeah.
They didn't put Giganox in as well, did they?
Not that we've seen yet.
Okay.
The dragon with no bones and 2 buttholes.
Like, I don't know how much orifice one game can take.
Screaming buttholes.
It scream out its butt.
It screams out its butthole. So yeah, it looks like the monster selection is going to be a lot broader than it was in World, because you've even got Azeros, the big blue bear. I like Azeros. He's not particularly hard, he's just a big bear who wants to give you a hug.
Was it really that narrow in World?
It really was. There's only about 5 different skeletons.
But I feel like they got a lot of mileage out of them, though.
They do. Like, even though the 2 monsters are using the same skeleton, they will give an entirely different fight. Like, Toby Kadachi and Odogaron. Completely different fights. Same skeleton.
I feel like, though, that it's sort of that's because it came first, because those are the same skeletons that are going to be available to Rise.
Yes.
So
they've added a bunch.
Other than monster selection, though, how are the mechanics playing out? Because I'm very dubious about the whole just add more gimmicks type of thing that they seem so fond of.
It's usually for the mid-tier entry that they'll add a whole bunch of extra gimmicks, some of which will stick around, others not so much.
Like, you've got all the expanded doggo riding and the expanded hookshot stuff, and
so we'll start with doggo riding.
I guess I feel like I'm more of a purist, and I want to be involved mainly in fighting monsters, not in doing other things around monsters.
Yeah, doggo riding is basically taking the trail rider riding mechanic that Iceborne introduced and extending it, as you mentioned. You get to steer where your doggo goes, but you can still do buffs and weapon sharpening and that while you're moving it.
Yeah,
basically,
the service thing. I think the advantage was that you didn't have to steer.
Yeah, you can just let it go towards the monster and away you go. I hadn't noticed in the demo if there's an option just to set him to autopath or not. I'll have to have another look.
I didn't ever use it outside of that. Like, that was what it was for.
That's exactly what it was for. So now you can just use him to get around a lot quicker and do your buffs. Like, your hunter can be sharpening his weapon, but you can still drive the doggo at the same time. In combat, doggo seems like he's just pure DPS. Whereas you got your Palico who performs the support abilities.
To me, that sounds superfluous.
Does a bit, doesn't it?
It's sort of like, oh well, the reason you don't take poison on your weapon is because it's just a dot, and you might as well just do more damage.
Yeah, just give that to your Palico.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems weird that it's just like, a marksmanship hunter's pet. There's a reason why they took the pet away, is because it was just an adjunct that didn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to play around with it, because the doggo does get equipment and weapons. He kind of holds this dagger thingy in his mouth. And that's his weapon. So how much flexibility that gives you, I don't know. The demo doesn't really give you a chance to play with that. Yeah, there's absolutely no customization in the demo, so you can't see any of this. The big changes are monster riding as it exists in Iceborne and World is gone. Instead, now you directly control the monster while you're riding it, which gives you 2 attacks, a dodge, and the ability to smash into a wall. What you're supposed to ideally do is, if a monster comes into the arena while you're fighting, is hijack the second monster and use it to beat down your target.
Yeah, as useful as it was, I felt like the whole create a weak point thing was too dominating on the gameplay.
It was. I think it very much was.
Because it was like, this becomes the optimal thing to do in every situation, is to mount and create a weak point.
Yep. That's gone now. You can't open up new weak points. Instead, how mounting works is you'll just beat on the monster normally. Each attack does a various amount of stagger damage, as they usually do, and once the monster is staggered, then you can press a button to climb on top of it. Or just attack it again and you'll jump up automatically. That seems to happen once per fight, and only once. It might happen more with bigger monsters or longer fights by design. But I ended up fighting Mizutsuki for about half an hour while I was learning my way around the new mechanics, and it only happened once in that fight. Also, that Mizutsuki either had a ridiculous amount of health or the gear they give you is just below the par that you should be fighting her with.
Are you sure you're not just bad?
There is also that possibility, yes. Because I was learning the 15th weapon, as we should probably call it, which is the hunting horn again. Hunting horn is completely different now. It's brand new at this point.
For better or for worse?
That's debatable. So the weapon now is very fast and very flowy in its combat attacks. You generate your songs by just hitting the same attack button twice in a row, and it automatically plays now.
It's not very hunting horn, though.
Pardon?
That's not very hunting horn.
No, but so you just hit the monster or swing your weapon twice in the same way or on the same combo, and you get your buff. If you play one of each note somewhere in the string, like as long as you got one of each on the bar at the same time, it will unlock the ability to do the ridiculously big combo, which does a lot of hits and a lot of damage and applies all of your buffs at the same time. And it's the sort of move that you should really spam, because it's just that good. That'll probably get nerfed, honestly. It also gives you a gauge you fill up. Once you fill that up, you can do the Ripcord ability, which Iceborne introduced, which unlocks a secret song for each weapon, which is unique to that weapon.
I see.
Which is, I think, actually a rather cool mechanic.
Although, unique songs, doesn't that just mean that you're not really going to get to pick because one of the weapons will end up being mechanically optimal?
Yep.
And then you're not going to be able to use any of the special attributes of any of the weaker weapons because they suck.
Yeah, you're going to end up with that. Sooner or later, there'll be like 2 or 3 builds that'll come out and take full advantage of the higher powered secret songs. Although the one that's
I'm not even talking about the higher powered secret songs. I'm talking about if they're actually unique to each weapon, it means that all it means is that the low level ones have to be really bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It seems power scaling has always struck me as being extremely weird and often short sighted in Monster Hunter games. I felt like World did an okay job of it, but it did an okay job because none of the weapons were too unique from each other, but they did still have pretty significant hiccups. I felt like that rocket greatsword. When they included that, pretty much it dominated the greatsword meta pretty much for the bulk of the game's lifespan. I mean, it was surpassed in the end once Iceborne came out, but for up until Iceborne came out, there was one weapon to use, and it was that one.
And that was it. Yeah. I'm not sure how much variation and how balanced they've got. Again, they only give you one option, and this one, the special ability is just a straight attack up. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Other weapons got a lot of new toys. Hammer is now a stance weapon, which it kind of was in World, but not really because it was a pain in the neck. Like in World, you have to charge up and activate the power charge state, but as soon as you put your weapon away or get hit by a monster, it deactivates. So now you've got the power charge state and the standard state, which you move a little bit faster and you can do a dodge, a better dodge in it. Whereas your power charge state hits harder. The bow, I think they've just tweaked it so you now have a 3-hit combo. A proper 3-hit combo anyway. Gunlance, people are still playing with.
Did the bow retain all of the stuff that they added over the course of World?
Looks like it did, yes.
Because I felt like it was starting to get a bit bloated towards the end there.
Yeah. Because you don't have your the slinger anyway, you lose all that functionality.
Because I think that was largely what bloated it up, was the amount of slinger bow integration that there was.
Yeah. So now every weapon gets, aside from having the movement options you get when your weapon is sheathed, which is a kind of a dash forward and a jump. You can actually jump on command now. Every weapon gets 2 abilities, which rely on your wire bug. So if you spend 1 wire bug, usually you use your smaller and less powerful ability, which is often defensive, depending on your weapon. And the 2 wire bug is usually some big execution move. So in the case of the hunting horn, it's you hit them in the face with your horn, somehow tangle up their face in a wire, and then just break whatever part you've tangled. I'm not sure if it's just a straight break or if it's do a lot of break damage, but yeah, it seems like every time I've hit something with it, it's broken it. So it's looking good, but the problem with it is it's restricted to the Switch. At least so far.
Yeah, they really need to stop that. Like, I understand that the Switch is very popular, but it's also a very limited platform.
Yeah.
Most phones at this point are more powerful than it.
Yep. Also more expensive, but we'll not worry about that.
Well, it's not just the phone isn't just a gaming system though, it's a different product.
Yes. Tomatoes. I don't want tomatoes. So, yeah, it's shaping up good. I've enjoyed the demo. Apparently, there's a 4th monster. A 3rd monster you can fight in the demo, which I'm not sure how you unlock it yet. And it might be a multiplayer only one. So, the 2 monsters you fight in the demo are Great Azuchi, which is the beginner monster. It's your kind of a kangaroo lizard thingy. But not the same way Great Macau is. This one actually relies on having 2 offsiders with it. And it will perform attacks in sequence with its 2 little friends.
I see.
So if you want to not get hit like an absolute truck, you can take them out just like you normally would. But it will every so often resummon them. And the other one is Mizutsune, who is seemingly basically the same as old Mizu, old Bubbles, but a lot more aggressive. Which is pretty much the World treatment. If she does any new abilities, I haven't particularly noticed. Largely because she hit like an absolute truck and I was trying not to die at the time. So that was that.
So is this largely like a mechanical demo after the same type of thing that World did, or is there any information on how they're going to structure difficulty progression in that this time round?
Largely it's mechanical. So it gives you a bit of a tutorial on how things work, how to use your wire bug to get around, things like that. And then it gives you 2 fights to go and just play with. You can pick any weapon you want, it'll give you a preset build to go with it. Off you go. Doesn't seem to be anything you can earn to unlock in the main game like you could with the World demo. Like when you the demo for World or Iceborne, you beat the monsters and it would give you a bit of a head start item pack to go with it. Like, it was nothing too game breaking. It was nothing you couldn't earn through the game. It was just a nice little boost. So yeah, that's that whole business, and that's pretty much what everyone's been talking about the last week or so.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same sort of phenomenon when World's demo came out.
A lot noisier this time, though. 'Cause
Well,
now the fan base has expanded a lot.
yeah, and I guess World actually might have had a few other games that were coming out around it. I can't think of any games that are big coming out around Monster Hunter Rise.
I know there's a few games I'm hanging out for, but a lot of them don't actually have release dates yet.
The thing is, I think that most people are hanging out for a game that's actually going to come out. Like, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of disappointment floating around right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what did you see to get excited about at the Game Awards?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
The only game I'm really excited about at the moment is Evil Genius 2. Because
You mean a sequel to a cult classic that has been sort of left fallow for a long time, and there's a better than even chance that they'll screw it up somehow.
yeah, that one. I mean, I know it's the pessimistic view, but it's also probably the more realistic view.
Well, that's happened so many times now. It's sort of painful to even think about.
Yeah, like one of the games I actually picked up during the Steam sales was Underworld Ascendant. And that was a mistake. Yeah, it was the old kickstarting a revival of a cult classic franchise, which
What could go wrong?
Yeah, it looks like they put all their effort into the first half hour of the game. You get through the tutorial, you get through the introduction, and then the unleashing the world as a whole, and everything is suddenly very, very bland.
Yeah, a lot of games seem to get off to that kind of roaring start, and then it doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, it's like here's the idea: you can fight your way through, or you can use game mechanics and sneaky puzzle nonsense to find an alternate way. Except, no, we're going to throw this rogue in here who can randomly appear in random places and just completely wreck your face. So either you fight or you die. So that's fun. Yeah, Underworld Ascendant has a lot of mixed reviews on Steam, we'll say.
Well, mixed is literally a review totaling category on Steam.
Yeah. So yeah. What else actually happened during the holidays?
With you? I don't know.
Not much. Admittedly, not much.
You did renovations and you worked.
Yes, I did so much working. I'm trying to think of anything else to pad the show out with, but I'm not coming up with much.
Oh, well, yeah. So if you don't have anything else, there's a few things I can talk about.
Go for it.
All right. Well, kind of anyway. So I re-listened to all the Dresden Files again. You can bounce off that, Fern.
Oh yeah.
Not all of them, but I've been going through on a re-listen after I re-listened to Peace Talks and Battleground back to back.
Did you start right at the beginning?
I skipped Stormfront and Full Moon.
Okay, that's all right then, because
instead I did something that might be seen as even worse.
Oh no.
I went and I read the Dresden Files comics. For the two. They're passable. At first glance, I didn't have any complaints about them. But the more I was going through them, the more it became apparent, wait a minute. What's happening on the page and what's being described are two totally different things. They have a serious issue with not showing anything related to what Dresden says he's doing.
Or it didn't give the script to the artist?
Yeah, it's like the artist was...
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like he was given a storyboard and told to draw it, and then was handed the comic script afterwards and had to paste the bubbles around. And it works most of the time, but when it doesn't, you really notice it.
Oh no.
So,
Yeah, that sounds awful.
so
as much
for-
as I like the Dresden Files, Full Moon and Stormfront are just they have not aged well.
yeah, you still have to go through them.
They are-
2001, 2002.
Like Butcher's
Yeah.
writing style and his general competence at writing has increased quite a lot since then, and it shows.
So
Well,
the first I heard of those series was probably Casually Hardcore talking about it, and it was already a well-established series when I was listening to them.
Granted, we
Yeah.
have just come off like a 6-year hiatus.
yeah, while he dealt with
Does that make us not old somehow? Because I don't think that it
No,
does.
it makes him even
Well-
older.
Yeah, I just love his explanation of finally, after the 5 years are over, he came out and just said what the problem was, and the problem was alimony.
Yeah, no money for
'Cause he
the
get-
evil ex-wife.
Yes, and he got divorced, and there was some tie up with the licensing for 5 years of any money he made off Dresden had to go to her. So he just didn't publish the book until then. So we finally got an answer for that. It's not a very detailed answer, but we got an answer.
It's an understandable answer, and it's still a rather silly answer.
Yeah, and yeah, I think Butcher was in college when he wrote.
Yes, if not Stormfront, then what was he did a short story where which
Yeah.
is the meeting of Murphy.
Yeah, where they fight the troll and Harry
Yeah,
still
I
works for
forget
that
what that one was
investigator that
called.
shows up in Ghost Story. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know the one you're talking about.
He's
It's
definitely in
it's
college with that.
Yeah. So the history of the Dresden Files is he was frustrated with his writing teacher, who was telling him all kinds of things he could do to make his writing better, and he said, "Fine, I'll do a book just like that, and he'll hate it." And that's how we got the Dresden Files.
I mean, the Codex Alera was, hey, I bet you can't make us write a novel using these things we randomly pick out of a hat.
Yeah, Codex Alera was a drunken bet.
Yeah, and he ended up drawing something like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Lost Roman 13th Legion,
And Pokemon was
and
one of them.
Pokemon, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So
And we got the Codex Alera out of it, which is, it's a bit dry, but it's still good.
yeah. So
It's like,
Butcher.
firebending Romans. For no reason.
So yeah. I've noticed a few things. Butcher's appreciation for how Christian men, in particular devout Christian men, act through Michael has improved dramatically as the series has gone on. Because early on, he comes off as your typical prudish Southern Baptist dad, despite being a Catholic, in grave peril.
Yep.
And very quickly, he corrects to what people are actually like, rather than the stereotype.
Yeah, I think there's also been a bit of just natural character development for Michael there. He's loosened up a bit as time's gone on.
Yeah,
Well,
and
it's not so much character development as I do think it is simple writing development, and that he feels more like a real person and
Yeah.
less like an archetype.
Yeah, he was very much an archetype when he first appeared.
so yeah, you can tell Butcher has learned a lot about how to write a Christian character. And I know we don't normally do religious stuff on the show at all, but it's something that's not done well at all these days. People don't know what Christians act like, or or at least how they attempt to act.
Well, it's more that they already have a fixed idea of what that character is supposed to be like.
Yeah, not every Christian is my dad.
The fire and brimstone maniac, you mean?
Yeah, the you need to be the most
like
straight-laced.
The
Fire and
town
brimstone.
elders from Footloose.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
but seeing where Michael started versus where is now gave me a whole lot more confidence in Butcher as a writer, because
Yep.
I had worried he might be falling into some traps with especially his blue hair.
No, he wasn't ever going to go full blue here because remember, his problem in life was alimony.
Yeah,
It means that he's already been screwed by the court system for being a man.
yeah. So I was worried for a bit.
Yeah,
And,
I think you mentioned at some point his blue hair is just to screw with someone.
yeah, it was nice to see a real Christian Paragon character rather than the typical prudy one as the series went on. But early on, he
Or
does.
worse yet, lawful stupid.
Lawful
Yeah.
stupid. Yes.
Yeah, and early on, it really does feel like he still had a lot of those misconceptions and was putting too much of typical Baptist fire brimstone preacher into Michael. But he excised that stuff as time went on and replaced it with more what a nice Christian dad tries to do is actually like.
Yeah.
Because that type of person doesn't raise the type of family that Michael had.
No.
And he corrected that really well. Harry is... The writing with Harry early on is... And writing from a first-person perspective, I don't think is something Butcher was actually very comfortable with. Until much later. It takes him until about book 6 before that really starts feeling like he's got a good flow for Dresden going.
A lot of the people, I think, they go out and they think that doing a first-person perspective is probably the easiest way. I think it'd be the hardest way of doing it.
I'm not sure it's any harder or easier because it limits what you can say in the narrative, but gives you more freedom in how you express it.
Well,
So
you say that depends on your initial commitments to how reliable of a narrator you want your point of view character to be. Because Dresden is a terribly unreliable narrator. He sees everything through an incredibly jaundiced eye, which means that it's actually a bit easier to write because the outlines around how the world is going to appear, regardless of what the world is actually doing, are already there. You've got he's got some strong lenses over the way he sees the world. Yeah. So you can sort of meta write a God's Eye world outside of that without actually needing it to coincide with what Dresden sees. So you can effectively half-ass things because of you only need to care about the way that character sees things until it's time to pay the piper. In which case you can just use basically world building notes to do a lot of things because your world doesn't actually need to be any more coherent than what your character sees until it's you're coming to the climax.
Yeah. Butcher's already mentioned that there's a lot of stuff that he's written that Harry is just outright wrong about.
Yeah, and he also said that specifically because he's afraid he's going to make plot holes, and the excuse is going to be that Harry didn't understand it.
It's better than adding time-traveling monks to fix your plot holes.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, that works.
The thing is, Harry also, he's kind of a baby, isn't he?
In a way.
In what way?
It's been set up, well, in every conceivable way, basically. But he's been set up as as far as the world of mages goes that he is familiar with, the world of wizards goes that he's familiar with, he is effectively like the 16-year-old shonen protagonist. But he has that proportional level of knowledge and understanding of the events going on around him.
Yeah, he's reached about 18 where we're at, but he definitely starts off, despite being in his late 20s, I think, at the start of the series, or mid 20s. He definitely starts off as the ignorant kid.
Yeah.
Which, given his age, is something you have to kind of just reconcile. It's actually easier on a reread, and makes it work much better, I think.
I think it's actually written pretty well for the most part, because a lot of the stupid mistakes he makes as a kid eventually do come back and bite him on the ass.
Yeah, I think that can be attributed mostly to Butcher just getting better and realizing that he can use a mistake he made in the past to be something useful.
Yeah.
To the narrative. So,
I think it's also because there's so much time has elapsed. I think it's not just that his writing has gotten better with practice. I think it's also when the sheer amount of time passes and you have that opportunity to look back at what you were personally a decade ago and the stupid shit you thought and did and said 10 years ago.
Myself 10 years ago if I could.
Yeah, that sort of perspective allows you to write simply more realistic characters because you have been living longer and the world is coming a little bit more into focus, is a little bit more three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like going through the series. I think the middle of the series has a lot more weight to it because Butcher realized some of the threads he set up, and most of them I don't think he actually did intentionally. Because Butcher doesn't seem like the kind of guy that plans out the entire story and kind of makes stuff up, a little bit of the stuff up as it goes at least. But it shows he was able to use what he wrote before really well. So a lot of confidence boosted in that. The middle of the series is still really good right now. Deadbeat actually didn't hold up as good as I thought it would. It was the biggest disappointment in the reread so far.
Okay.
And just it introduces a lot of characters and has that people love and has a lot of cool scenes in it, but the actual hard writing of it just doesn't feel very good to go through, I didn't think.
I can't remember which book that was.
That's the one with the zombie T-Rex.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
With Butters
No,
as the offsider.
That to me, I didn't like that on the first read through. I felt it read like a young adult fiction book. So it read like it was mass produced pulp fiction to me, and not the good kind.
Yeah. Butcher has gone on record saying that, what did he say? He said that book 7 was going to be the first book they got in hardcover. So his publisher came to him and said, if you got any really cool ideas to cram into a book, now's the time to do them because they're going to give us a hardcover for the next issue.
Yeah.
So
So we got the zombie T-Rex, but we also got Butters basically being an audience surrogate for a good part of it.
Oh, Butters. I'm glad where he went with Butters. I think that works fine.
That was apparently not planned, though.
Yeah, because Butters was quickly becoming author's pet.
Yeah.
And I was really worried Butcher would get stuck in author's pet the whole way with Butters.
I'm glad you said that because that was my impression as well. It's like, oh no, they're not going to turn this guy into a sub-hero, are they? And he's like some stupid, useless nerd who likes polka, and I can't stand the idea of him just becoming a ninja because the author likes him.
Yeah, he has since been shuttled off to do his. It's been 7 years now, but I guess we shouldn't spoil it. To do what he does at the end of Skin Game, and there's short stories that show him going through proper training now instead of just being Batman.
Right, because he never went to boot camp. He had no business being as effective as he was when he first started to get a lot more screen time.
Yeah, now he goes to Michael and Charity boot camp, and has in the short stories, and now he is specifically set aside to do the duties of his new office, and things that don't relate to those or don't appear to involve Butters, he's not there for. He's not showing up everywhere as Batman anymore, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, thankfully that phase really didn't last all that long.
It lasted between like book 10 and all the way up until the end of Cold Days. In even Skin Game, halfway through Skin Game, he's still riding around on the rocket skateboard.
Yeah, he is. It's most pronounced, I think, in Ghost Story.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
He really gets his Batman on.
Well, actually, I think Cold Days and Skin Game and first half of Skin Game are worse with Butters.
Yeah.
Because he just has too many gadgets and is shown to be too competent for somebody that's brand new at this.
I know that they're always trying to go for this, you shouldn't underestimate the nerd just because he's quiet type of thing, but it does beg a belief most of the time when it actually gets used.
Yeah. I'm glad actually he got his own spin-off story, which showed that he's absolutely terrified the entire time.
Yeah, getting Butters into the side story bracket and putting him off with a different organization that is not necessarily on the same side as Harry all the time was a very good idea, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely something that Harry's not going to be able to just look in on whenever he wants to either.
So, what, his internal monologue is like Caiaphas Cain's?
His internal monologue is like your buddy that played World of Warcraft with you. That's the best analogy to Butters in his side story.
That's actually how he received his quests, yes.
Yeah, he literally, his sign from God is yellow exclamation points over people.
Yeah. Go read the book, the short story. It's in
Briefcases.
Briefcases, thank you.
It's called Day One or something like that.
Yes.
And that shows that, Michael's working him to the bone to be good. And I like how in Peace Talks, Butters is in there and he tries to do Star Wars flashy moves that he saw on the TV, and the sword lets him do it. But it turns out if you do a pirouette in the middle of a fight in real life, you get kicked in the chest and then kicked across the battlefield.
Yeah, it don't end well.
Yep.
Anyway.
So yeah, Dresden Files has been going pretty good. And I needed it as a distraction from the real world. So I just threw a dart at something I was familiar and comfortable with and knew I would enjoy going back to, and just went and re-listened to it while playing PSO2. And in PSO2, I have gotten 4 classes to level 95 in this Christmas holiday time because I have not been in the mood to talk to anybody. I haven't got on to play with anybody. I have been in a very, very bad headspace and just needed to reset.
Yep, I've just run out of footage over the other side, so let me put some PSO2 on. There we go.
So yeah, I have been going out of my way to not engage people too terribly much until basically yesterday evening. I would say a few token things to Vol, and that was about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of you at all the last couple of weeks.
He hasn't even been signing into Discord. He's only signing into Steam to play PSO2.
Yeah, and even then I've been signing in offline so I don't get messages. It has not been a good time. So yeah, I played. I got both of the classes I most didn't want to play out of the way, and got them to 95. So I got Summoner done, and I got Phantom done, and they are now relegated to side class forever, and will never be touched again, or subclass forever.
Is it that you hate Phantom, or is that you feel too much deep shame if you had to play Phantom?
I genuinely don't like the combat flow of Phantom. I don't think it feels good. I don't like dropping the bits. I don't like setting up the traps. I don't like the way the katana feels. I don't like the way they have to integrate photon arts with most of their techniques with their stuff, with their photon arts. None of it feels very good to me. It's not too much going on, but just has a bad flow to it, I think.
Ridiculously popular.
Yeah.
Ridiculously edgy.
And I get if you love that flow of things and you really practice and nail it down, you're golden and will do tons of damage. Great. That ain't gonna be me. Yeah. So
I even feel kind of fortunate that I made an arbitrary choice of making Braver my main class, and I by far enjoy it more than any of the others. So I picked correctly for once.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy the Summoner, but it does have its issues.
Yeah, it's just it's too much in one class to keep track of with the Summoner. When there are other things I would rather play, I don't want it on my brain at all.
Thankfully, I've found now that I've been able to start sitting down and working through a lot of the bits, is once they're done, they're done. You don't need to worry about them again after that.
Yeah, and I'm the only thing I'm still doing with Summoner is whenever I remember to, I go to the pet supply shop, buy 5 12-star EXP eggs, and feed it to my main pet.
Yeah.
And that's only because there's 100 star gems in it for me if I can get it to 130.
Nice.
Phantom, I just don't like the class. I don't know a better way to put it.
Actually, now that I got the game up on the stream, let me go and find the class trainer.
So yeah, I'll show you all.
Only tried it as far as the tutorial and no further. So
there he is. Look at this edgelord.
So in live show chat, I will paste my current class level up stuff. I'm doing Bouncer right now. So I got all the Scion classes cap. I got Hero up. I like Hero a lot, but Hero is really brain taxing to play because of the constant weapon switching and trying to keep track of what PAs you've used already, and I've already got the hero time build up from. It's a very high focus class that needs your full brain's attention.
But you love that shit.
But yeah, so I do like it, but it's not.
Got his ranks on every stage as Virgil, as well as all of the original characters in DMC5.
Twice, yes. But yeah, I do love the class. I just can't do it while I'm playing the show. While we're doing the show. Bouncer has been, thankfully, they fixed a big issue with Bouncer, the class I'm leveling right now. in that before Bouncer had a very awkward mechanic where it wasn't awkward, it was just cumbersome. They had these fields they would put around themselves that would restore PP to them and everybody around them and increase the crit rate of them and everybody else around them for 60 seconds with a 90-second cooldown, so 30 seconds of downtime if you used them on cooldown. The problem was the sub-palette in this game is not real easy to flip to and activate. So you wound up in situations where you're more panic dodging and losing time on your fields than actually keeping your fields up like you're supposed to, or you're interrupting your combos. They have included a new skill at level 85 that fixes this problem. And that is the dodge auto field. So if your fields are off cooldown and you dodge, and you successfully dodge through an enemy's attack, the fields auto deploy. So all you have to do is, because bouncers have more invulnerability frames on jet boots than if you take the jet boots escape talent than other classes on their dodge, a lot more. It's fairly easy to pick an attack and dodge through it, and that includes active hazards on the ground. So you can just jump over an active hazard or into it and right back out of it. So to activate your fields, and you don't have to go futz with the sub palette. So this has made Bouncer way more fun to play again, because that was my biggest problem at higher level Bouncer, was just how dang long it took to, or how much of an annoyance it was to keep those fields up.
Well, that must have been something that was universally decried. If they've made such a radical change as adding an automatic thing to do it for you, it must have just been something that people found that was not practical to do.
Oh, yeah. Because they're not a cooldown, really. They last a full minute and only have 30 seconds of downtime. They're not like, and we already have a button we have to pop whenever it's up called Rapid Boost to increase our damage as a mini cooldown. And having the two fields there as well just was a bit too much. And also with jet boots, the build-up PA they've added where over time, or based on how much damage or what types of damage you do during an encounter, you'll build up charges for this PA, and different weapons require different amounts of stock from it, and you can store up to 3 stocks by default and 5 once you beat 2 of Coffee's super hard quests. These let you do a super move with your weapon once you get enough charges. And
they charge way quicker than I expected.
Yeah, they do.
I thought it was going to crawl.
But yeah, and for jet boots, they fill a very nice hole where they had a bit of a problem with gap closers at certain angles. They were fine as long as it was directly above you and in front of you, or if they were on the horizontal plane from you and you did not have to move on the y-axis at all. Those were both fine. If they were in any kind of awkward or skew direction from the way your character was facing, getting to an enemy could be a chore because of the way the dash worked. Well, the build-up PA fixes that.
It ended up being like every time you try and fire the gravity wheel at someone using their twirl.
Yeah, and
it never seems to go in the direction that you want it to.
Yeah, it'd be like you're like that.
Yeah, gravity wheels just tend to do whatever the hell they want.
And with Bouncer, that's a super big problem, because if you don't practice really hard and get it right, you'll go flying off away from the boss and not be doing any damage. So you don't want to do that. The build-up PA for jet boots sends you rocketing towards the enemy regardless of their position to you, and you can get yourself back in the game doing that. And then the uncancelled variant of it finally gives jet boots a proper ranged attack without having to dip into techniques. So we can throw out spinning discs that penetrate targets and will hit everything in a line, and they have a pretty huge hitbox. They don't do a crap ton of damage, but they do enough to kill any smaller mobs that are just hanging off the edge of the map. So that helped Bouncer a lot. So I've been having a lot of fun playing Bouncer. The Estelle class, the wand is the wand.
You can go to sleep while playing it.
Yeah, it is leveled up for soloing junk to get rewards and to brainlessly do stuff while you're recording a podcast. Yeah, I like it, but it's not.
I don't particularly like playing it. However, I'm glad that it is the subclass that I'm going for, because I hate leveling things up just to be a subclass. It's a huge pain in the nuts. But I don't need to do anything or think about anything or learn anything in order to play Etoile.
Yeah, they're really, really easy. And sometimes you just need that. I've been using it to solo parts of Risk Expeditions, which are the new in-game small group content that outside of Urgent Quests. And it works surprisingly just fine. I mean, you're going to be there a while killing anything. It takes about 5 minutes to kill any boss that pops up if you can keep doing constant damage. But you ain't going to get one shot if you have the Estelle as your subclass. So
if you do, you just life.
Yeah. So you're at least not going to die. And it makes a whole lot of stuff that would normally be inaccessible to you at least doable. So yeah, I'm glad it exists, and I've level capped it, and for all that. I also finally, through the mission pass, got all the stupid bonus skill points for turning in EX cubes for all the classes. So all my class trainers don't have little quest acceptance icons over their head, other than freaking Pietro, because he has repeatables for every single dang pet.
But he's going to stand there, and he's going to be creepy at you.
Yeah, my lobby would be clear of this stupid quest accept marker, except for Pietro over here.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Seriously, do not bring him on as a companion character either, because oh boy.
Just chain running stuff solo while I was listening to Dresden and zonking out. I got every single companion that you can take with you on quests up to Red Happy Face, which is the highest they can get.
Yep.
So
Do you even go into work?
I've told you the private sector's been dead, and also I haven't been able to go in this past week because my family and the opossum have been afraid of. Yeah,
they're terrified. Sniffle.
Yeah, they're scared to death of the coof. So I've been stuck at home
but and have into it now.
So yeah, I have the phones forwarded to my cell phone, and I'm working from home, and it's not that bad. It just means I can't intercede when people are being stupid.
So you're bored at home instead of bored at work now.
Well, at work I can usually find something to do because I can find people.
Screwed something up.
Yeah, somebody's broken something, or I can go help somebody. I can find something to do that is actually productive. At home, well, I have my quotes I gotta do. I gotta do this billing. I gotta do the taxes. Okay, that's done. Now what?
Bookwork, yay.
And they'll freak out if I leave. Not that I could go to job sites anyway right now, because Atlanta's still locked down, and that's the place I'd go to hunt for jobs.
This whole thing is just retarded.
Plus, if your whole family's been down with the plague, then people probably won't go anywhere near you for next week.
I heard that the entirety of Brisbane down over one case that didn't even need hospitalization.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure I got it, and I've already passed it.
You probably have.
I felt like I had a mild fever one day this during these past 2 weeks, but it just didn't amount to anything, so I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, you probably have. If you go to get a test, you'll probably come up.
As everyone says, and you're living in a house full of people that have got it, you've definitely got it.
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't believe a dang word that's come out of people's mouths about this thing.
Well, because those people are experts.
Gigantic ass quotes you can see from space.
Read liars. And they have
YouTube
lied
Karens,
on TV.
or Facebook Karens.
Yeah, I don't believe liars. Sorry.
In order to maintain your professional opinions sort of validity, you need to actually get YouTube to censor anyone from disagreeing with you. It suggests that you're just engaged in some sort of grotesque exercise of power because you don't have any credibility.
Yeah. If you'd have let the opposition talk, this would have been over by now. But you're so power hungry, you won't even listen to us.
Also, saying anything bad about the coof gets you banned from YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I now doubly have a reason to refuse the vaccine.
You don't need it now.
Well, aside from ideological and personal reasons, I just don't want the dang vaccine and don't trust it.
So I still haven't given up on having children. I don't want to be sterilized yet.
Yeah, like I mean, I could meet some girl at 40 years old. Who knows? I've pretty much sworn off dating since college, but it could happen. But yeah, it's been a mess at my house. I've been frustrated because I've been stuck at home. I've been frustrated with the situation going on in my country. I have been in a headspace finally that I think is more productive now, where I am no longer just angry about it, because you can't get to the point where you're better about it until you're angry about it and start coming up with all kinds of irrational things first. And now I've progressed onto, okay, now that I've got the anger processed, what
You've
do
got that out of the system.
now what do we actually do? So I've been noodling through what to do to improve the circumstances.
Yeah.
Shall we say?
Shall we indeed?
So yeah, just I've been using PSO2 as something to do with my hands while I sit and fume and listen to Dresden Files to try and calm down.
All right. Do we have anything else worth talking about?
We should probably mention to people at least part of the happenings, because they directly impact media and game.
All right.
I have to be very careful with the words I use here.
Yeah, we'll get deleted otherwise.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's because the biggest happening. I think the biggest happening is nothing to do with the electoral race or anything like that.
Yeah.
The biggest happening is the fact that, the hour has come.
Yeah.
And social media have decided they're now going to exercise the editorial policies on everything.
The entirety of the internet has become the gay frog. I think is the best way I can put this. Literally overnight, a whole lot of people have just poofed and are not allowed to use any platform. A whole lot of people. And it does not matter how big or small that individual is. The shotgun blast seems to have hit whoever was in the general direction of where they were firing.
And it's not even just directed squarely at ideological opponents either. I've seen like a bunch of people who identify as firmly on the left who have also gotten nuked simply because once upon a time they expressed an opinion that is now unpopular.
Yeah.
Unfashionable is probably the better choice.
Yeah. Unfashionable with the right sorts of people.
Yes.
So those of us in that sector, which we do fall firmly under, as much as we limit the nature of anything political on this show.
We try.
Well, Fern tries.
As much as Fern tries. Me and Vol both fall somewhere on the danger spectrum for these people.
Yeah.
And that means we're going to be a target, because we're not going to bow or change because people say they want us to. The most we'll give them is dancing around words. But the show has no intentions, at least I haven't run this by YouTube, but I don't have any intentions of changing anything to appease tyrant.
Well, we can just go to another platform if they kick us off.
Yeah.
Our BitChute channel gets way more views than our YouTube one does.
Do we have a BitChute channel?
Yeah.
We have a BitChute channel, but there's only random episodes uploaded on it because the upload thing broke down. But
right.
Any given one of those videos has more views than our entire YouTube channel.
Isn't BitChute banned now, though?
Yeah, Twitter said it's a dangerous site.
Oh, yeah.
Try and link to it.
Yeah. A certain Dotish-like winning website has also been banned from everything. Although they were trying to shadow ban that one 30 billion times from Sunday before the recent happenings.
There's a rumor going around that Cloudflare were either going to or had nuked 4chan entirely.
Yeah, they were I was checking it while that rumor was going on, but it was still around while that rumor was active. I could still load it just fine. The Farms is dead, but that is mostly because Noel was doing some server stuff when the traffic into the server skyrocketed when everybody got banned from everywhere else.
So it's not so much it got shut down as the server just screeched and died.
So while Noel was doing stuff server end, he got a mass influx of traffic that crashed and broke everything. So yeah, it's pretty bad, folks. And this is where it starts. And you can pray with me for a miracle, but you need to be prepared that miracle ain't going to come, and we need to deal with this.
In practical terms, you should probably diversify your platforms at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever becomes less censorious once they decide that that's the path they're going down.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
It's like any other type of power and control over people. The more you engage in it, the more you want to do it.
I mean,
So,
if you when Jack founded Twitter, he was like free speech guy, super free speech guy. But as he, gained more influence, he just got drunk with power.
Yeah.
I'm the free speech guy, therefore I can decide what speech is good and what speech is bad, and I don't see any irony here. And
Yeah.
this is where you end up. This is where you end up. Once you start down that road, there's no going back.
Yeah, what does irony mean?
So yeah, the political show is going to get yeeted eventually, but until it does, we will endeavor to put something together for it eventually. I have not been able to process my thoughts on what's going on very well, or what actions I want to encourage people to take. I'm still figuring that out, and it's not coming very quickly. But once I get that together, and me and Vol feel like we have something to talk about, we'll talk to you more about in detail the specifics of what happened there. And I have a local copy of all those that we can upload somewhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think another thing to be aware of is that Google are planning to destroy any competitors they don't agree with. Apparently,
yeah.
They've removed Parler from the App Store as the key move that they've made so far because they want everybody on Twitter so that Twitter can control their speech, as far as microblogging is concerned. The reason, of course, is that Parler is a risk to public health and safety because reasons.
Yeah. Free speech.
The line of logic is that Parler is a site for white nationalists because they don't agree with us, therefore they're white nationalists. And therefore, the only thing that people could possibly be doing on their competing platform, because all of the good people are on Twitter, the only thing people could be doing on a competing platform is plotting terrorist activity. Therefore, we can't be seen to facilitate terrorists.
There's some enormous gaps in that logic.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
It's perfectly reasonable to them because that's the way they see the world. They see the world as them and everybody else as a Nazi.
Yeah.
So, pay attention, folks. Be careful. Look for your creators on different platforms. I have posted in the announcements board of our Discord what to do if our Discord gets cheated. Discord has banned a few of the more prominent and even some of the medium and small size Discords that have a conservative bent. It is not unlikely that we will get hit eventually as well and not be allowed to keep that server there, especially if their bots get more aggressive and start trolling for text. If that happens, message me on Steam, and I will do what I can to give you a status update on a contingency plan I'm working on. That contingency plan right now is make a contingency.
The contingency is to have a contingency.
It is this. You need to start working on this like this week. There is no hard, firm plan on what that is yet, but I'll keep y'all posted on the show as significant progress is made towards somewhere we can make a safe home at. And if we get yeeted before then, message me and I'll put you on a list and give you updates over Steam Chat, and just leave the messages in your history. So that is the current plan for dealing with it on the online side. The real life side is going to be very different depending on where you live. People outside of the US probably won't notice very much at all, other than an increase in what they've seen already. In the US, things are going to radically change, and you're going to have to find a way to navigate this. So we'll deal with it. this also impacts your media, folks. By the way, pay attention to what companies you're giving money to. Probably now more than ever. And also pay attention to you're just not going to get very many good high quality things while this is in effect. The era of free and open media with all kinds of new fun creative ideas is over. Because they're just going to censor anything they don't like or that's new and scary. So,
Or because they've run out of other things to censor.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it goes. Something has to be censored. Like I said, censorship doesn't ever go backwards. So when they run out of stuff that they hate to censor, they'll find something else to hate.
Yeah. And the only thing that fixes it is the collapse of the current power structure that's enabling the censoring. So I don't see that happening anytime soon, unless a miracle happens in the next week.
Well, I think that there's a reasonable chance that Twitter will just collapse though before too long, because they've banned the sitting president of the United States from posting, and Twitter was about to go under before the current president of the United States was elected, and it's only because he made that place his home that they got so much attention. Because I mean, realistically, how much of the president of the United States Twitter account actually ended up being part of the news cycle each day?
Every single tweet he did made it into some TV station at least.
That was the thing. That was why everybody was going to Twitter for, because Donald Trump was the news. And you would see the news in advance if you went to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But they just put the kibosh on that, and now there's no reason to go to Twitter at all.
Yeah, and we're going to see a huge loss of interest in it due to just the people that were solely engaged in Twitter because of the political, we'll call it discourse to be nice. Poop flinging would be a more accurate phrasing of it. Just won't want to be on a platform anymore, or they've been yeeted off and forced to go somewhere else. And I'm bringing this to everybody's attention rather seriously because, yeah, if you still aren't convinced they're coming for you, they need to go after somebody. This ideology has founded itself on its adversarial relationship with something, and that thing is malleable. It will change by the year, and eventually you will be that thing.
The big difference between the tweeter and this is particularly true of Twitter, the big difference between the tweeter and most other forms of social media are that the tweeter is conversational in nature. Like, it has a natural flow for responding to people. It's not something that the default method of interaction is that you put up a post and then you leave it there and you go off and do something else. No, it's a conversational in nature, which means that every confrontation is more personal and involves more butting of heads. And as such, has a natural propensity to be spectacularly toxic.
Yeah, not to mention the character limit stops people from going into detail
whatsoever.
Yeah, there's no nuance in any post at all. There's just the on the surface meaning or what some person's crazy interpretation of what you said was. So it's Twitter has been dangerous forever, I think. I've said Twitter is bad for you, and it was totally serious the whole time. But yeah, you guys are gonna have to learn to be nimble navigators, like the centipede. And find a way to weasel through this without losing your convictions about what's right and what's wrong. It doesn't really matter what those are, they're going to be challenged.
So step one is get off social media. Just delete all your accounts and talk to real people.
History has showed us that there's always somebody who thinks that they're not going to come for them, that they're going to be the last one standing. It's never happened before. Nobody ever gets through this intact.
I'm sure during Germany rounding up in the chambers right before they turned on the gas, some Jew was going in there. You wouldn't put people with blonde hair in here, would you? You hypocrites! And then they turn on the gas.
That got grim.
it's the position we're going towards.
Yeah, to be 100% fair, George Soros got through it.
Yeah.
I mean, he did build his entire career selling out Jews to the Nazis so that he could get through it. And he doesn't feel an ounce of shame to it to this day.
Incidentally, talking about the Holocaust has probably just gotten us banned on its own.
Oh,
Well, it's
a historical matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And if they started censoring that, that would mean that every commentator on the left accusing everybody on the right of being a Nazi would also get yeeted.
Oh, please.
The left also, hates the Jews.
I would be quite happy to be yeeted if it meant all those people got yeeted as well.
Yeah. So, be careful, folks. We'll keep you posted on as much as we can do on this show. If you want more elaborate, detailed information on stuff going on, we will get political shows out when we can. And we will also have the Discord server where you can come talk to us, and I will attempt to elaborate on what's going on as best I can.
Also, please be careful what you send me, because the government has started monitoring all social media for New Zealanders.
Yeah. So while that mostly probably just means Twitter, Facebook, Parler, the usual internet ones, Discord may or may not be included, and probably is to a lesser degree at least. So I would be careful what you send people to.
Yeah, I mean, people in New Zealand have gone to jail over Facebook.
Yeah.
So
limit your discussion of such things with friends to voice chat if they start to get really fiery. Is the best recommendation I can give, just because the technology to trace voices and what's being said is not very good yet.
Yeah, I think as far as New Zealand is concerned, I'm mainly worried about they're just going to adopt whatever America does. That's what the current discourse under the Labour government has done. They will look at Canada and they will look at America and they'll look at the UK and they'll pick the wokest ideas available and implement them all.
Yeah.
That's why New Zealand has such deeply horrific laws governing abortion. Like, post-birth abortion is a thing in this country.
What? Isn't that just called murder?
Yes, it is just called murder in any other country. In this country, it's not.
Yeah, they tried to push it in Virginia.
But there's the thing with New Zealand. We'll look at what the other people are doing and try and go one step further because they've got, small man syndrome.
So yeah, in general, your interactions with people are going to be much more difficult to be genuine with. So find ways around it. This is the part where being creative and taking alternate approaches to what's normal is going to be incredibly helpful.
I do think that the ultimately, like on a broad scale and a broad time frame, this is going to be a situation where if it doesn't end in a fireball, it's going to end with the only option left being, a return to localism. Like, if the entirety of the internet collapses over this, at least then maybe I might find out who my neighbors are.
I really don't want to have to go. Well, in my old areas I lived, I wouldn't mind. My current neighbors, one of them's crazy, but she's has dementia and isn't 85 plus. The horse lady's okay. I've fixed her fence for her a few times.
So, what is with women and horses?
It sounds like a line from a movie at some point, I heard.
It probably is, because it's a well-known and very real thing that girls like ponies.
Gudiko grailed red hair to 100.
She totally did.
So yeah. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up and a reminder about what they need to be doing. So that's mostly what I had to say on the matter of the happenings going on and how it will affect us, media, etc., going forward.
Yeah, and it's going to spread. The infection will spread. I mean, for instance, Sony now has virtually sole control over all Western anime distribution, and since Sony of America has taken control more or less and gotten woker and woker and eclipsed the Japan branch's opinions on most things, anime is going to be up on the chopping block next. It's going to get more and more distorted and more sanitized. I don't really want to learn Japanese, but I might have to.
Yeah, and even then, you're going to see this leak back into Japan. You'll see, you might very well see the anime industry start going down the path that most Western media did over the last 20 years.
They might, but you know, a lot of the thing is that anime as a medium draws most of its financial benefit directly from 4chaners, or well, the equivalent, the 2chaners. So, so that's it's on a scale of that would be on a scale of thumbing your nose at your audience even greater than what they did to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like they will see financial problems after a single season, a single like core, and then they will have to try and solve that problem, and they aren't backed by big money. So I think that there are limits to how far they can go down that path unless America decides to bankroll that industry. And America's not going to have any money because the Democrats just took over.
Yeah, we are going to go so far in debt that the American dollar likely will not be a good measure of standard currency pretty soon.
I'm sure that the yuan will be happy to take over.
Yeah. Not that their money's worth anything either. But
yeah, but they say that it is. And apparently we just believe the stuff that China says nowadays.
Yeah. So we will see. There will be a whole lot of happenings these next few years. If you thought 2020 was bad, hold on to your butts.
Woo, lad, time is going to get even more compressed. How many years do you think it'll take to get through 2021?
6.
I don't know. I feel like I'm freaking 40 already with the way 2020 went. So,
well,
man,
I think we nearly are 40. Stop saying that.
Yeah. So, I think we'll have to see. Just be careful, folks. Get creative and be smart. All right, y'all got anything else to give them heads up about before we start?
I think it's time to get out of here.
As always, just watch what you do with your money.
Yep.
Watch who you're funding.
Yep. Come chat with us on the Discord if you want proper full elaboration of the actual happenings. And I guess we'll go to closing comments.
It's another year and it's the same as the last.
I would be lucky if it's the same as the last, I think. That would be an improvement over what it looks like we're headed for.
Yeah, it not looking good. All right. I'm praying for everybody. Pray for people. It's about the only thing we can realistically do in the grand scale right now. And we'll see y'all next week, I guess. Sayonara. Bye-bye.